different seat.
Oh, I like that. Is that a wall or that's the booth?
That's a wall, actually. Yeah, it's
It's
just
nice.
shaped
I
like
like
this.
it. I like it a lot. Hello, we're here with Joe for our bi-weekly Saturday episode. What's up?
Um, well, I just got out of an interesting event in a Minecraft server I've been
What's
active
going
in.
on there?
Um, well, it's a large server. There's a lot of territory in it that is divided into these sovereign nations. The one that I joined, when I joined the server, um, had to elect a new emperor. Except this time they elected their first female player for the role, so they had an empress. And I don't know if this is because we were having our first empress or they just were going to finally start doing this, but they had a coronation ceremony. It was highly attended by several of the active players from across the world. There was like over 100 people online at once, most of whom were in our capital city where the coronation was held. So I observed that. It was pretty entertaining. The admins of the server assassinated one of our dukes during the coronation. They
Is this the one you're in with
Yes,
the what is it? The where they can send you to hell, make you a ghost. What's that called?
yes, yeah, that one.
Or
Um,
your
yeah, if they
button
kill
or
you the right
something?
way, they send you to like hell as a form of prison, and then you can be brought back. Um, they do it by killing you under certain conditions. What the admin did, I guess, as a prank, is that there's this very large cathedral that was built where the coronation was held, and um, they because on Minecraft you mine blocks and place them to build things. They mined a hole in the ceiling, and then they dropped a bomb down, and it blew up who it landed on, which happened to be one of the dukes. He respawned and he came back because they didn't kill him the right way to trap him in hell. But yeah, that was funny. Otherwise,
Wait, why did they kill? These are the admins
yeah, they did it to be
killing
funny.
him? Why?
The
How could you
admins
trust that server again?
the admins are known to do little prank things like this here and there.
That's like getting banned from a YouTube channel
So
and
yeah,
then
he I
released.
mean he respawned and he came right back in a couple of minutes. So
So the whole thing was just a joke.
yeah, they didn't pearl him, which is trapping him in the hell dimension with the death. You can't do that by bombing somebody. I don't think.
Well, yeah, you have had an interesting morning. Way more
Yeah.
interesting than mine.
And before that, I had lunch with my father. I hadn't seen him in a while, so that was nice too.
Yeah, that that is
And
nice.
tomorrow, I'll be getting coffee with one of the people, one of the dukes in that
Mm. A
country.
female duke, a duchess,
Not a
duchess.
not a duchess. No, no, no. Just friendly coffee.
Ah, okay.
This is how I know it's happening because it's a guy.
So
Um,
you meeting local people through the game?
Incidentally, yes, because I remarked that the flag of the country. It's just it's like how most countries have like a kind of like a bi or tricolor pattern,
Yeah.
horizontal or vertical. Theirs is a bicolor of horizontal, white on top and light blue on the bottom. And if you're familiar with like the college athletic teams, it's similar to the colors of the University of North Carolina. So I remarked, oh, it's interesting because the flag's colors, look like the colors of my alma mater. And so he asked, well, where did you go to school? And I said, Carolina. He's like, oh, me too. And he did undergraduate here. He's like just starting his graduate years, and he actually lives a few minutes away from where I do. So I said, well, we should get coffee once the holidays are over. And he's like, yeah. And that was pretty early on, so we've gotten a bit better acquainted then. So I'm looking more forward to it.
Oh, wonderful. I love hearing stuff like that.
It's a very happy accident that this occurred, especially because I didn't expect that I'd be joining this server even 2 months ago. I've been there close to a month now. Maybe next week it'll be a couple months.
How's the diamond mining going?
Pretty good. I started a joint venture through the investing firm I started there, and we got our first mining contract set up. Um, there's still some T's to cross and an eyes to dot in the initial formalization of it, but it's basically in motion now. So that'll be interesting.
So it
And
sounds like your New Year's off to a
yeah,
pretty good start.
yeah. And then yesterday I actually did a stream of the game because one of the games, one of the companies in that server had an IPO in which they made themselves public and were selling shares of their company to other players through Discord. And they released financial reports for people to review. And so I live streamed myself reviewing the financial reports and talking about them. And it got a lot of traffic and engagement by people. And some people shared it in the main server, like the main Discord server for the whole Minecraft server, like several times,
Oh, how many people are in that one?
like hundreds, maybe
Oh,
thousands.
oh wow. So good. That's good. You're networking, you're
Yeah.
hustling, you're finding new opportunities.
Yeah. And then I had a pretty good overall result for my articles for December. Started out really slow. I wasn't sure if I'd even hit my usual goal of trying to get 2K a month, but I got 2,400. What saved me in the last sort of week and a half was quantum computing, which I talked with you before, but those made a lot of money and they carried me up to 2,400.
Yeah, I saw what's it called? Willow, the Willow chip that Google has.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was talking about that the other day. Do they have products they're using them in yet? Like actual applications for these chips?
So there aren't very many uses that are good for like commercial purposes. Mostly it's the people that are paying these companies to use their quantum computing products are doing it because they have their own research projects they're doing, and
Oh,
they want to play around with quantum computers to develop the science more. There's one company uh, that does, and what they do is they have a large quantum computer themselves. It's the largest quantum computer in the world, and through a cloud service, they allow customers to access and use it to run software applications that are designed for quantum rather than traditional computers. And those actually have roles um, in the production of those customers.
yeah, I saw where the Google one solved an equation in 5 minutes that would take some amount of septillion years, which is older than the age of the known universe, to solve by other means. So that's the scale difference that we're working with. Is that a can I see your cup?
Oh, this is a pure cup of water.
Okay, I thought it was a glass. I was
Yeah.
wondering if they're giving glasses out in the coffee shop now.
Well, that would be something. I think before COVID, you used to be able to request those, but I don't think that really goes on anymore.
Well, do you have anything you want to talk about today?
Um, let me think.
Otherwise, we could just open the panel.
I don't think there's anything really to talk about because I just kind of summarized what I did lately, but now nothing I really had that I thought would make a good topic, at least not right now.
Okay, well then I guess we'll have
Yeah, let's do
a
that.
generic open panel and see what topic shows up. Okay, panel's open, guys. Come on up if you want to join us. There you go. In the meantime, I don't. Do you have any thoughts on the latest news? The New Orleans, Vegas.
There was the killing in New Orleans, right? And then there was the Cybertruck bomb in
Yeah,
Vegas.
I would call it a terrorist attack. He was radicalized by ISIS. And then the Vegas one was he seemed like a conspirator that had this weird theory about the Chinese drones having anti-gravity technology and the government was hiding it from people.
So the guy who because I heard it was like one of the former nannies of the royal family was
Yeah, it was
killed.
one of the New Orleans victims.
Yeah, and And so the one person who perpetrated it was a radical Muslim terrorist.
An American,
Okay.
former military, but he was having some he was having problems in his personal life. His marriage was falling apart. He couldn't pay his house note, et cetera, et cetera. Um, life stressors that he didn't have the coping skills for, and somehow he turned to social media and ended up radicalized by ISIS.
Well,
That's what I'm most interested in. How that happened.
well, that
But
reminds
even
me of
before
something.
that, it looks like he was planning some kind of violent act toward his family, and then he shifted it to the public after his radicalization by ISIS.
So I didn't see this, but Sam Harris did an episode about it on his podcast. I want to say a little over a year ago now. There was this documentary that was called Jihad Rehab, and uh, this woman, the documentarian, basically interviews and follows around a lot of uh, like former Guantanamo prisoners who have been released and reintegrated into their normal lives, and talks about like how they became radical Islamic terrorists or militants, like basically part of Al Qaeda or a similar type of group, uh, and like why that happened. For the most part, they were. She said like the reasons were not too unlike what you would hear for like why a young man in America, a young non-Muslim man in America, because many of the some of the people she talked to were also Americans, I think, not just people from Saudi Arabia, although it was people from the Middle East as well. Um, and it's like it's similar why they might join the military. Um, and it's just something that kind of in their culture has heroic connotations, and it's something young men can do who are aimless and they don't know what their place is, and it's a way to find something, a way to have a sense of adventure in life. It's not necessarily from a place of cruelty or sadism, as you sometimes often see among those folks. Certainly among the most powerful of Al Qaeda and ISIS, they are very cruel people, not just
Well, it's
uh,
interesting that both of the attackers were in the military, and they
mhm.
had that like the hero impulse, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think I remember learning a while ago that the biggest predictor, far and away, Ku Klux Klan membership increases was whether or not the U.S. enters a war. Um, I remember learning this like 10 years ago, um, so it was a while ago, but that was a thing that they noted, that there was like no other variable that at least they've been able to find to measure other than wars. And what often happens is that the veterans of said conflict often come out with their own issues, their own identity crises, their own how many veterans are often lost and left behind after a war, not just Vietnam, but each conflict has their own share of that, and uh, that's something like that kind of. So there's something about things like the KKK that kind of pulls at similar strings, and I would say you might think of the KKK as historically an analog to let's say just white Christians in the U.S. Like ISIS would be currently. Um, of course, KKK used to be like much more of an open threat like ISIS, but not the case anymore. But it still sort of has that lingering relevance in some areas. So, uh, obviously, it's not to the point that people are really worried about violence in the streets committed by the KKK like used to be the case.
I'm worried
Um,
about violence from random citizens
mhm.
that are being radicalized.
Yeah, and I think where sort of a measure of it's not like school shootings are the result of the KKK, even though that often entails, uh, we'll say, unstable white men. who might have otherwise been, drawn into something like the KKK. Instead, they kind of just do something on their own.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about is lone
They,
wolves.
they, they usually have like that's really interesting is they usually have a very personal manifesto type of thing. They're not part of some sort of established order, which is what you could say. If someone joins the KKK, they're joining an established order. They join ISIS, they're joining an established order. Even if you think of those as fringe groups and not really established in any sense, they are certainly drawing on some kind of like older tradition of sorts.
Yeah, like it's radicalized individualism. They're
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of the Unabomber and his manifesto.
I've been saying a lot of things lately, like just on X or YouTube or wherever, where people are like, the youth bomber had a point.
Well, he did.
And
Have you read his manifesto? It's very relatable. I
I've
I
read,
agree with
I've
a
read,
lot of it.
I've read long excerpts of it, so things that are hard to quote mine misleadingly. And the long excerpts seem like, I mean, they seem like a rational person, and
Yeah, I mean
I think it actually
it's a
kind of
pretty
illustrates.
decent critique of technology in the modern world.
I think it illustrates how you could actually look at something very rationally, even with complete coldness, and then just naturally resolve yourself to something brutal and violent based off of that. And I think people assume you have to be mentally unstable for that to occur, and maybe that's not always the case.
It seemed like the two recent ones were, and a lot of these school shooters are. I mean, I don't think you have to be. I think psychopaths are capable of
And I think we,
violence while being sane. I think anybody's capable of violence, but most civilized people have the checks and balances that they've internalized from being in civilization that keep them from acting on that.
yeah, certainly most people, at least intuitively, um, know that society will hold them accountable if they do something and refrain from doing it. Um,
And a lot of it is kamikaze. They
mhm.
take themselves out. It's an act, I guess, to express something or make a statement or act something out, but they don't intend to survive their act
Right.
themselves.
Yeah,
So they're
it's
on their
something
way out and they're trying to cause destruction in the process. And
exactly.
I don't know how normal those people are. Zephyr, hello, welcome. Like I would, to me, there's some kind of mental instability, if you want to call it that,
Yeah,
involved in that mindset.
yeah. Certainly like if I had given up on the world, right, to that point, I would just go out quietly and without complaint. Because if you've really given up on the world, I don't see the point of making a statement.
Something drives them to it. I mean, this guy, they plan it, they invest time and money in it. This guy rented a Cybertruck. The other one made bombs and rented the truck and like it's not just like people that suicide. A lot of times they put a lot of thought into it over time, and so it seems to be the same pattern, except they're adding violence. It's homicide and suicide at the same time. They're adding the extra element of some kind of externalized violence to the suicide. But
Mm-hmm.
the planning is all there as it would be in a normal suicide.
Yeah, it's
So at some point they make a decision and then they commit to it and they put a certain amount of planning into it over time. There's a timeline to it. So this doesn't seem just spontaneous, like they wake up one day and I'm going to go shoot up a school because I'm in a bad mood. It's 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 more akin to what we see in a lot of suicides.
mhm. Yeah, I guess so. Like the it's more fundamentally similar to what you would say would just be a normal suicide. So not some sort of school shooting or terrorist kamikaze move. Like it has more the profile of just someone who normally commits suicide.
It seems like to me, it, um, at least from what I know of suicide and the few that I've been personally involved in, it was done. I had a friend that committed suicide several years ago, and he left a video, and he explained that he'd been thinking about this for a while, like years. He said he put an enormous amount of man hours into thinking about it, planning it, making the decisions. So it was something that developed over time. And the one thing I do know about successful suicides is you probably won't see it coming. Like they're not the ones that are going to give signals or cries for help or anything like that. They know how to hide it and mask it, and they're very deliberate. They know how to plan it. They know how to execute it, and that seems to be what these people are doing. Like you don't see this coming until after it happens.
And then you think, oh, this is what that meant.
Now the New Orleans guy, some of the friends did comment on his change recently because he was going through all these life stressors, but they didn't see the radicalization at all. They had no idea he was involved in ISIS or anything like that. And the Vegas one, he was texting the girlfriend like an hour or so before he did it, and she didn't even register anything normal. He seemed like the normal person that she knew, so she didn't even pick up on anything weird, even right up leading up to the event. He was able to act like a normal boyfriend in text. He was bragging about his Cybertruck and how fast it went, how cool it was. She didn't have a clue what he was up to.
Yeah, this seemed like pretty ordinary, everyday behavior of someone who's about to go out in a blaze of glory.
They're able to compartmentalize and keep it hidden from even their closest loved ones.
It's a shame they couldn't find a more productive use of that ability to
Well, they need
compartmentalize.
to come talk to me. I'm telling you, because if this is trauma or PTSD or anything like this is a extreme solution. This is an extreme coping mechanism. So come and talk to me, and we can find some ways to help you out where you don't have to resort to this. I work with PTSD. I'd be happy to talk to potential um, social terrorists and see if we can come up with some better options. Hey, Zintz, what's up?
Maybe one thing that would help is if we could understand. I think there's a very general idea of what PTSD is, but I think usually people have like this very extreme sense of it. Like you have the Vietnam flashbacks kind of PTSD, right? You like where you like almost uh like go stiff or limp and or something like that, right? Um, and almost catatonic even. Um, but I think there's obviously there's layers to it. There's
It,
different ways.
it's um it's a form of brain damage. It depends on the trauma and the individual themselves, because we're all going to respond to trauma in our own unique ways. But it changes. I've done streams on this. It changes your brain. It changes the structure of some of the parts of your brain and how they operate. And
Yeah, because
so understanding the brain changes is one thing I would say that helps, but both the sufferers themselves and the people around them. So
yeah,
to know what's happening during a PTSD episode and some things you can do to kind of reduce that reaction when it happens would help. And then I had one more thing. I lost it. It'll come back. Oh yeah, there's two types of flashbacks too, and most flashbacks are emotional flashbacks. You're flashing back to the emotion that you've experienced at some time in the past. But sometimes you get the visual flashbacks, which are hallucinatory, and if you're not prepared for a visual flashback, that could throw you off too. Yeah, and it depends. Like sometimes they rate it by severity of event, etc. But anything that not everything is trauma, but some traumas can be so intense. And again, it depends on what the individual experiences as trauma that it can actually show up in changes to brain structures, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, and you could see it on brain scans. So depending on the trauma, like I know after watching Mike die, in my case, I was complete. I knew I could tell internally I was a different person. I could tell my brain was different. Something about me was different. They were physical changes to the brain because the trauma was so intense. I had what's called an acute stress reaction. And so that's one way to like separate the trauma that has a physical impact, like a lifelong physical impact. It's chronic from that point versus just an unpleasant or upsetting event, but your brain necessarily doesn't change, and your brain and body at least can recover from it.
Hmm. So aren't there like there's basically like it's believed that PTSD can occur from a singular major trauma, but it
Yeah.
can also occur from a steady accumulation of maybe not hugely bad things, but just consistently unpleasant moments as well.
Yeah.
Like if you just have a streak of bad luck, like just a bunch of bad days for what, like a year or two, on the other side of that, you could effectively be traumatized, even if they weren't horrifying things that happened to you.
Yeah, and I'd say again, it depends on the brain and how much your brain alters in response to the event. Because if your brain doesn't alter and you're able to recover and more or less keep your normal brain intact, then it's a different condition than when your brain changes and you're stuck with those changes the rest of your life. Now there is still some neuroplasticity, but your brain doesn't go back to the way it was before the PTSD. It might you might there's a concept of post-traumatic growth. You kind of grow into something different. So if it changes at all, it's going to change based on what you do from that point forward into you're going to shape it into something new. And then also like childhood trauma, when our brains are not fully developed, they can be vulnerable to like it doesn't have to be one traumatic event. Like if it depending on when it happened in your life, it happened at an earlier age.
Hmm.
The accumulation of just a series of mild traumas could still affect the development of the brain. Then there's something developmental trauma, which could happen in the womb or infancy or very early childhood, when you're actually developing as an organism that can interfere with the way the brain and nervous system develop.
Very interesting. So, how, um, I'm assuming this occurred. How did you overcome yourself the trauma of Mike's death?
I didn't. There's no way to overcome something like that. I was out of my mind for days, weeks. I gradually recovered. I've told the story of going out in the desert, and that's what started the healing process for me. But it took years and years. I didn't do anything specifically. I wasn't even aware or conscious at that time what PTSD was. I just thought it was all grief. People suggested I join grief groups or see a therapist. I didn't do any of that. I found my own path through it. Um, And then when I came up here with the X, I had a second traumatic event, and that was only a couple of years after the first one. And that's when I got into the peer training and mental health, and I started to learn what was actually going on with the brain. And that's when I could identify it as actual PTSD and consciously direct my recovery. But before that, to this day, if someone asks me what got me through it, I have no idea. My body, my inner resilience. I none of it was conscious. I took one day, 1 second at a time, and somehow my mind and body just got through it.
Gotcha. I had an interesting experience. I guess about a year and a half ago, when um, um, I made my first visit back to my parents' house since I moved out in 2016. Um, it was because my parents were away on a trip, and they were supposed to have asked my sister to make sure the dogs were fed and taken out during the day, and that I could like maybe assist with some of that, depending on if she was at work that day or some other thing, but that she would primarily be doing it. Um, but somehow, like at the last second, I find out from her because I text her to sort of just check the things are like. She thought I was going to do the whole thing and actually stay at the fucking house like all four
Your
days that they were
sister or your
gone.
mom?
My sister.
Oh,
I don't speak to my mother. My father had asked me this, and because I never gave him a clear like one that I was going to do that, and then so I thought she was doing it, and I don't know how this got miscommunicated. It's just amazing to me, but um, so basically, what ended up happening is I agreed because I was already dog sitting for my older sister at her house, which is like a 25-minute drive from um, their house. And so basically, I just would leave from her house for a bit, go take care of their dogs, and go back to her house. And it was interesting because the house is empty except for the dogs. And I had never met these dogs, so it was the other strange thing is you know, these are dogs I don't even know. They're not the dogs with whom I grew up because our last one died shortly after I moved out. Because I grew up with a main group of five. We had like two before that, and then we got five more after they died because they died when I was little. Um, and and then we had five for most of my childhood, basically, like from when I was about 8 up through college. And so they lived for about 10 to 14 years each. And so these are dogs don't even know, and they're already like uh, 5 or 6 years old, I guess, at this point. And anyway, I go into the house. Um, like I needed to be given another key. I didn't even have the key to my childhood home. Um, and technically, it looks more or less exactly as I remember it. A lot of things are in their same basic spot. Um, there's even a sticky note on one of the fridges um, that I wrote that's been there this whole time. I think I wrote something clever
hang
on it.
on real quick.
Yeah.
We got somebody backstage. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. Can you flash one more time? Does anybody know Tough Guy? Um, d- uh, I'm not. I tell you what, Tough Guy. I'm gonna let Joe finish his story, and then after that. Oh, you've been on before? Okay. Well, just I'm gonna let Joe finish his story, and then I'll bring you on with an overlay, and just type in the back what you want to come up and talk about, so I have an idea. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and so technically looks the same, but I'm seeing it with very fresh eyes because it's 2023 when I'm seeing this, and I moved out at the end of 2016, so it's been very close to 7 years since I've even been there. And but see, you know how when you look at something you've seen before, but with fresh eyes, you just notice different things about it, things that you didn't notice when you were seeing it all the time. Um, I really finally saw that house for what it was, and I just saw it was like this huge, like I didn't it really didn't hit me how much my mother hoards things until I saw it, and um, like when I was as I got older, like in my teen years, my mother always complained about the house being messy, our room being messy, but she didn't want to let us get rid of stuff. Um, and so like when I saw that, I could basically just see like it's like the the physical manifestation of all the neuroticism and anxiety in that house, and I had this unusually horrified feeling, like I just wanted to get out of there as quickly as I could, and I just felt that way each time I went. And I almost never felt that way about something. Um, but it's just sort of like um, it's like when I see it, I could basically only see the bad things about my past, and like my eyes could no longer see any of the good things about it in that house.
From that day forward.
Well, I have not been back since, so I went there a few
Oh, so
days
that one.
in a row,
Yeah,
right?
that sounds like an emotional flashback.
And then I made it clear to my father that I was also not happy again about the very vague way in which I kind of got roped into doing this. So I made it very clear I'm not doing any go-to house favors again. That's off the table. Um,
I'm gonna bring this guy on and
okay.
see what he's about. Tough guy. Hello, you're on.
Can you
Can you
hear
hear
me?
us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's up?
Oh shit, nigga, you don't remember me, motherfucker?
I talk to a lot of people. I feel like I would though. Well, I don't think we
Yeah,
get a
you
lot of
should
you.
know, nigga, because I came on your show a long time ago and wrecked shop, nigga. What up?
Wrecked shop. What did we talk about? Are you
I
trying to
don't
wreck
know.
shop today?
Well, no, I was just seeing what was up with you, fam. Hey, do I
Just
know you from CT show or whose show do I know you from? Today's topics or
I pretty much just do this one now. I don't go in a lot of other panels. I've been on CT maybe once or twice, and then he's been on here once I think, but
okay,
that's
that's
been a
probably
long time ago.
long time ago. Yeah. Yeah, that's well, that's where I'm known from.
So
From
what's going
there,
on?
shit, man. Ain't nobody live right now. I don't know what the fuck going on.
Oh, okay. That's
So I was just like, I remember this nigga. What's
you're just
happening?
looking for a panel.
Well, I'm just chilling right now, so I got a couple hours. So I was just like, I'm gonna see who's on live, but ain't nobody doing nothing. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck going
Okay.
on?
Yeah, I noticed that too. Kane was live. Have you been to his channel yet?
No, I don't even know who that is.
Let's see. I'll drop his.
But I've been on your show before though, so I
Yeah,
thought
probably
maybe
so.
you remember me because I forget what we was talking about. But you know, it's all good though. It was a long time ago though, probably at
Well,
least a year.
we talking about trauma. Do you have any trauma stories?
Trauma, man. I think we all got trauma, man. Come on, man. Well, okay. So, what part of life you want? Younger, teenage, even
Oh,
adult,
look, not
adult.
law. Oh Lord, I don't know if this is good or bad, but not
Because
laws
men,
is vouching for you.
because men don't talk about their traumas about when
Yeah,
they're
that's a
men.
good point.
I want to
Yes.
hear y'all's trauma. What type of traumas have y'all had as men, as grown men,
Well,
adults?
it started when we were talking about the New Orleans attacker and the Vegas attacker, and then from there it got into what might drive people to get radicalized or do stuff like this. But in my personal life, I watched my
Hurt.
partner
They're
die in
hurt.
the ICU, and that's when mine started. And Joe was
Hurt
talking
people,
about
man.
some experiences from his childhood that came back to him when he went back to his old home.
Yeah, hurt people, bro.
Mhm.
Like if anything, a lot of people do what they experience or what they learn. That's about it. If somebody only learns nothing but the Bible and they're around that type of atmosphere all the time, that's just how they're gonna conduct themselves.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're around the atmosphere of drug dealing and shooting people, then that's who you're gonna be. Sad
Is
to
it
say,
Yeah.
so? People that are
it's what
around
you're
that,
exposed to.
do they have other options, or are they kind of stuck being around it?
Well, you have to think about it. Some people like that live in those type of conditions, they don't even leave that street or block or area their whole life. So it's a cycle. It's a mindset,
I'm
and
trying to imagine that.
a lot of the information and the way that the economy is set up, they're not really trying to help people because it generates money, just like drugs, just like anything else. It's all a business.
Yeah, and even if they have choices, our ability to make those, like the better ones, hinges on our awareness of those choices. If we're not aware we have the options, we're not even going to think to make them in the
Yeah,
first
and that comes with education. I think part of what education tries to do in a society is provide that awareness.
place. Yeah, like I think what got my mother, because she's of course the linchpin of the story I just told, is she's definitely one of those hurt people types of stories where she had problems in her childhood that caused her to become
The individual
controlling.
she is today.
Yeah,
It
like
builds.
controlling and
That's the
untrusting.
character it builds. That's
Yeah,
why I think when you go through things or any type of adversities, that actually brings character into your life as well. So, a person that doesn't know any type of personal development and that type of element is not gonna understand that type of life, you know. Like, you gotta think about it. Some kids grow up rich than a motherfucker. They just spoiled. They get everything their way, you know. So their attitude towards people may not be as good because, you know, when they go out in the real world, they see that they have to conduct themselves in a certain way, you know, and a lot of that shit ain't gonna fly in the real world. You're gonna have to be able to, you know, conduct yourself in some type of business manner, professional manner, you know, just being cordial with people. You know, just because you got money don't mean you could just do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah,
Sometimes it does, I think,
sometimes it does if you have
or at
enough,
least they seem to think it does.
or you know how to use it. People with money get away with a lot of stuff. You know, and then people who don't have money often get punished for what the people who have money do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People without money have different type of lifestyles and think differently as well because they're not in the position to do what people that have money do. And at the same time, people that have money aren't mentally where an individual that would be hustling and trying to really like make it to survive. They don't have that type of drive. I know I'm not going to say now there's not every type of person that, you know, grew up in money that's not going to have ambition or drive, but it's not going to be prevalent. It's not going to be something you see a lot of because when something's handed to you, when you get something free instead of actually having to pay for it, it's a different dynamic to it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that's
So
why a
you,
lot of the best kings in a lot of countries' histories are usually the kings that started the nation or founded something, not usually like one of the middle or late kings. It's usually the kings who actually had to work their way to provide something for their people.
Yeah.
you think it's more cultural than innate, whether they have drive and ambition?
I think that, I mean, look at Donald Trump. He was born into money, but he has a lot of ambition. You know, he's been a celebrity for a long time, and he don't have to do none of that shit. But that's a different type of drive. You know,
Because not everybody born in poverty or even in drug cultures or neighborhoods is doing the drug dealing and the crime and everything. So some people in those cultures are still finding other options besides that.
yeah. I mean,
Oh, he fell off.
Hopefully he comes back. This is a good
Yeah,
conversation.
it is. Yeah, it's interesting that he brings that up because my mother is a good example of that. Because she had ways her parents treated her that caused her to be controlling and distrustful, and
That
then that's
okay? Hey, stop. Pause.
uh,
You said that caused her.
yeah.
That's where I'm
my
skeptical. I
bad,
think
my
it could
bad.
influence her, but there's something inside of her that has like interacts in combination with whatever her mother did. That's that results in a particular outcome. Because
That's true.
even like 4 or 5 kids that were all abused in the same way are not all going to turn out the exact same way. They're all going to react to that abuse differently
No,
based
and
on
I still
individual
think she had
factors.
choices. I still think she had choices. I mean, obviously, I gave up on her, right? I am someone who held her accountable ultimately. Um, and so I think people still have choices, and um, I think it's a tough sell, right? But when you're one of the hurt people, you have to look inside and then ask yourself, am I gonna be someone who makes more hurt people? And when you feel like a victim, it's hard to think like that because you feel like something should be done for you if you think you're the victim. It's hard for people to think my victimhood could in fact be my pathway to villainy. But that's in fact very easy for people to do. And again, I think it's why the
That's why I don't
statement
think victim
subdiagnosis.
mentality in general is very good for anybody.
Mm-mm. No, but I think something that being a perpetual victim, where you're just kind of um, accomplishing nothing in life, is most people's idea of what being a perpetual victim is. But there's this um, less obvious path as well, where perpetual victimhood could in fact make you into a villain who creates more victims, like the next generation of victims. And I think that is something that eludes people a lot, because it's hard to imagine that you can be both victim and villain.
Victim in what?
Victim and villain.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's not hard for me at all. Like even shows like the Joker or the Batman movie where we see the origin story of the villain and how the trauma or the damage that they suffered turns them into the monster that they are today.
Well, yeah, we get that in a movie, but most people don't think that's them. Most people think that they're a victim and they're never actually becoming a villain because they're just still in the victim state, that they're incapable of being a villain because they are a victim.
Yeah, well, you're a villain the minute you take you take an action that's villainous. The minute you perform
Right.
a villainous act towards somebody else, whether you're a victim at some other point of your life, you become a villain at that moment.
Yeah, Jack's laws
Welcome back,
is right there.
Tough.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in that kind of neighborhood, that
What
background
what kind of
with the
neighborhood? Are you
drugging and
talking
the
about me?
thugging and
Oh
all
man,
that?
yeah, man. Okay, so I'm from Leavenworth, Kansas. So go Kansas City Chiefs. But so in LB, I grew up in Valley View. Valley View is so where I'm from, Leavenworth, Kansas is small, right? But there's a ghetto everywhere. So Valley View back in the day was the G. The G is on the south side. My family though was from the north side, and my family is all military. My grandfather was like a firefighter for like hella years out there. But anyway, small. Long story short, um, I lived on the north side, and then when I lived with my mom always lived in the hood, or we lived in a really nice neighborhood. So my mom would try to overcompensate for what she had, or like, so we would go from a really nice neighborhood to a really bad neighborhood, and then go back to a really nice neighborhood, and then go back to a really bad neighborhood. So there
Oh,
was a lot of upgrades and downgrades. You know what I'm saying? It was funny, but yeah. So I had a lot of different type of experiences going from a nice neighborhood to a bad neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
is
Or
that one of the
us
things
not
that made a
having a place to live.
difference with you?
Or us
Because
not
I'm
having a
assuming
place.
you found a way out of that.
Well, yeah. So us not having a place to live and living as a family in a little Nissan Sentra. So we all stayed in the car before. You know what I'm saying? My whole family. And then when I was 16,
Wow.
I was like not trying to do that. So I left and went to Vegas by myself. I already had homies and all that. And then I got caught up or whatever. And then they sent me to my dad when I was like 16, 17. And then me and my dad got into it because my dad is in a wheelchair, you know what I'm saying? And one of my biggest inspirations in life, but I was young then. But also, we used to fight a lot. But he was very strong because my dad was an Olympic wheelchair. Long story short, I got kicked out when I was young. So I had my own spot when I was 18, and I've been on my own ever since. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I've gotten out of it, but I was a hustler. I always have been, and I was kind of like a ladies man. I think
What were
that's
you
what we was
doing by
talking about last
18?
time I was on here. We was talking about the game. We was probably talking about pimping or something.
Oh, is that what you were doing?
That's probably what we was talking about. I'm not sure.
Oh, so at 18 when you were on your own, was it
Oh, I had a job. I used to print papers back then. So I lived in Illinois. So what happened was, remember I told you I got sent to Vegas when I was 16. They sent me
yeah.
to my dad, and my dad was living in Illinois. So that was a different type of gang banging out there because it's a little bit more organized. They call them organizations, not gangs. And when you think of Chicago, you think of like Chirac and motherfuckers shooting people. So just imagine what I grew up in out there. But it was a little bit back in the day, so people used to actually fight. It wasn't as much shooting going on, but yes, that happened. You understand what I'm saying? Because back in the day, we used to fight. You
Like
know what I'm saying?
street
We used to
fight
knuckle
type
up. You know what I'm saying? You had to
fight
fight.
club.
Yeah, I'm 40, so I was like right in that era. You know what I'm saying? Like when Friday came out and he was telling Craig, "Hey man, put the gun away." You know what I'm saying? And him and Smokey got shot up, so he needed the gun. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. But anyway, I went through all that shit. You had to fight, man, back in the day.
Or you get your ass beat.
You said what?
Or you get your ass beat.
Well, yeah,
Like,
basically.
God, see, yeah, I didn't grow up with those. It's hard for me to imagine somebody being forced to fight, but I've heard that before. So by the time you were 18, were you able to pretty much choose what environments you put yourself in or the type of people you had around you?
I'll say this: we're a creature by habit, and sometimes like back in the day, we didn't have dispensaries. So if you wanted to smoke some weed, you had to go into the hood to get it. And I was the type of nigga that I was a smart dude. I didn't really have money like that as a teenager, but I smoked weed. So everybody that smoked weed and didn't know where to get the weed from, I would piece up with them. I would tell them, "Oh, I know where to get the weed." So I would get like 50 to $100 from everybody I knew. Go get a fat ass sack, give them a little bit or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I had my own shit and money. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
I was a little smart, man. I learned that from my nigga Nate. You just being the middleman type shit, you know what I'm saying?
I wonder if somebody could teach them to transfer that skills to actual business, because
Well, it
that is
does. I mean,
smart.
you would
And
be surprised. This is why they say like doing for was it 2 years of door-to-door salesman is just like doing 4 years in college, because you learn how to deal with people, and life is about relationships and people. So if you know how to just be like a chameleon, whether it be in the boardroom or in the hood, just knowing how to deal with people, because you could be some bougie motherfucker in a big ass house, but if you just connect with a person, you just connect with them, and then they'll be your best friend. They'll buy you whatever the fuck they want. I mean, that's your relationship that you have with them. You understand what I'm saying? But most
uh,
people nowadays are just looking to prey on somebody. So a lot of people are a little bit more cautious, you know what I'm saying? Especially nowadays, you know what I'm saying? With their money and with what they do with people or the friends that they try to connect themselves to. And most people that are successful like that ain't going to be dealing with no bums in the first place. But if you have a good relationship, if you know how to engage with them properly, it might just be to your benefit. This is why I say it to women. It's very important to know how to conduct yourself around men, because you never know what type of opportunities you can get yourself into. And it's not so much about selling your body or yourself, it's about having a mind and understanding your value, you know and vice versa. Men can do it as well, but men sell themselves short all the time over some vagina.
yeah, I think that's the wisest thing I've heard all week. Do the women listen when you tell them?
You said what?
Do the women listen when you tell
Well,
them?
you have to give them a reason to want to listen to you. That's the whole crazy thing is,
Women don't
man.
like to listen to men.
I
Yeah,
know.
If
you
you
got to give
if,
them a
if you tell them
reason.
to do something, they'll rebel against you.
Just because
Yeah, I
it's a
mean, you could
man
be you
saying
could
it?
be a real good dude too, and they'll just find a reason to dismiss you.
I've
You
had
know what I'm
women
saying?
tell me to my face, Joe, what you're making makes total sense, but I'm going to do this anyway because this is just what I want. And then it bites them in the ass, and it is what it is.
Interesting. Good. So it's not just me then. Yeah, that's true, not lost. But there are patterns. I have noticed patterns,
No, I think
especially
that's
not necessarily all women, not all females, but culturally, like all women from certain cultures, there are certain features to them that they more or less share. All Karens are the same, though. I'll tell you that.
well, I would say that not all women are the same, but the
Man, I'll
ones
say
the ones
this:
who are
all
different are
women
not the
are
ones you need to
women.
tell things.
It's not
Yeah,
that they're all the same, but all men are men. I don't know how to explain that, but take it as you will.
I think I get it. Yeah, I mean, there's just some things that there are certain concerns I have to have when interacting with women that I just never enter my mind when I interact with men.
That you never like. Yeah, okay. So that's the exact stuff I don't do or can't do. When you're around women, there's certain things you have to be aware of and adjust about yourself in order to have a
That's
successful
not
interaction.
necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. Or you don't have to have an interaction with them. And that's
Yeah,
the
that's
thing is that you can choose who you can have around you. It's just a lot of guys aren't really that outgoing to meet a lot of women because it is a numbers game with women anyway. So you got to kind of sift through some shit because there's going to be a lot of bullshit out there, especially if you're going to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't have to adjust who you are
yeah, that's
for a
my
bitch.
position. But
And
even
that's the whole
things like
thing. Is also, hold on, let me finish this. You shouldn't be lying to a woman ever or trying to change who you are, because if you're lying to her, guess what you're doing? You're making her more important than yourself. And why is that? Why is her life, why is she more important than you?
But even things like going out in public to like a doctor's appointment or the grocery store or like the workplace, coworker, even then if there's a woman behind the desk, I know I need to prepare for the experience to go a different way than if it was a man behind the desk. So you can't completely avoid women altogether.
Yeah,
Sometimes you still
it,
have to interact with them.
it's more like I know I have to watch for certain behavior signs. Whereas with guys,
Like what?
I just
Is
how
it
sensitive
Is
they
it vibe based?
it's fine. Just how sensitive they are to things, how much it's going to be a walking on eggshells type
That's
of
their
relationship,
problem.
you know. Yeah, but then I know if I want to how much time I want to spend around. Whereas with guys, it's just they're almost never going to make a problem of anything, even if they're talking a wide range of personalities. Guys just this is more mutual trust at the start.
Yeah, yeah. I feel very comfortable with the guy, and until I have a reason not to. So I
Like
don't
I
make any
basically
negative assumptions going into it. With the woman, I'm already walking on eggshells.
basically it's much more likely that I can expect a guy will treat me like a person that I've just met than a woman on average.
Yeah, same here. And I can kind of tell when a woman's becoming tense or anxious around me, and then I don't want to interact with them anymore. But if I have to, if it's like at a doctor's appointment or I work with them, that's where all the trouble starts. Because normally, if I noticed that about somebody, I would remove myself from their immediate environment.
And I try to disentangle myself from such people once I've identified that thing about it. Like it's just a thing that um, I've just noticed over time. I tried the whole you know what, be as um, uh, tabula rasa with everyone as possible. No, you need to have certain adjustments to that because you're gonna
Well,
get
but
worse results.
then how do you be yourself? Like everybody has the right to be themselves. So if you're adjusting and tabula rasing, then that's compromising your ability to be yourself.
Well, so I don't tabula rasa everyone anymore. I've learned that like I have to um, consider that odds are different with different people. Um, like if somebody's from like here in the South versus the West Coast, right? Like I take that into account. Right? Like they're more likely to probably be like have like really hippie values compared to over here. Like they're from, especially if, like we're comparing like a rural Southerner. Um, and there's things I could run into with that. There's also things I can run into with like rural Southerners, right? Like I certainly don't fit in with them particularly well, even though that's where I grew up. Because I didn't become like a Baptist and stuff. So I never took into the redneck culture. Um, but I mean, I also am not like a West Coaster either. So I'm aware of these things. I'm aware of like the kinds of things um, that they might respond to. I take new information as that individual sort of learn more about them. It's just sort of things like that. Is you gotta sort of know what the patterns are and be willing to play the odds. I think when you enter new relationships.
Yeah, I guess playing the odds.
All right, so what was y'all trying to ask me?
Um, I don't remember. We were talking about women and how well Joe is saying how he's able to kind of adjust himself around what he reads off of different people. And then my argument is, but then you're not being yourself. And I want to be able to be myself and not have to worry about all that stuff. I don't
Well,
want to
just
have
be
to
yourself and
adjust.
just surround yourself around individuals that value and appreciate you. And the only way that you can do that is by being yourself and seeing the individuals that rock with you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the people that don't, you got to learn how to let them go. You might like them. They might even be your family. You might have known them for 10 years, 20 years, all of your life. But if they're not good for you and it's not productive, then why are you wasting your time?
But
Anything
because
that's not
sometimes you have
beneficial
to,
is a waste of
like
time. I mean,
in
yes, of
society,
course.
sometimes you have to interact with people that you
Yeah.
normally would
But I
just let
mean, you,
go.
you could do that at a distance. You can even love family from a distance as well. So I think it's not about what you're doing, it's about how you do it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. One thing I don't do is I don't fake things to placate people. But I'll just, I basically just keep things a lot drier and briefer,
I
which
remember that
makes it.
time that shift came up, and she said you were getting intense, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll pull back," and you kind of stop. And I'm thinking I would not have done that just because somebody didn't like I was like thought I was being intense the way I expressed myself. I would not have stopped expressing myself, but you were gladly willing to do that for her after you got that information.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, kitty.
Yeah, I didn't see it as essential or imperative that I keep going in whatever I'm trying to express. If the nature of it is overwhelming her, then I'm defeating my own purpose by overwhelming her.
But then to me, that just tells me she's not your audience.
I mean, maybe not, but it's an open panel. I'm sitting there. I accept that, to a point, I have to meet people where they are. Um,
That's a good point. I mean, that's one thing I have to learn to do too. Dang it, that Benjamin. We need to come up with a different time slot so we're not competing with each other.
and it's like you just go back to Stoic philosophy as well, right? And I'm always trying to be mindful of what my social duty is. So, I'm trying to think about not only what works as for me as an individual, but like how I then also can fit into the greater whole doing that. And so, it's something like that. Um, if I discover there was something about myself where having to reel back, especially on requests like that, is completely incongruent with who or what I am, I probably need to go to a different panel. I don't think a person like that will do well on open panels in the
No,
long
but
term.
no, because this panel is where you can be yourself, and she's the one putting conditions on that. So she's the one that should go to a different panel because that panel is specifically designed for that not to happen unless you choose it to, which you did that day. And my social duty is to be myself. By being that is what I take to be my social duty is to be myself and not compromise that because that sets the model for other people that might be trying to be themselves and it creates a space where it's okay to be yourself.
Mhm.
And so if I compromise on that, then I feel like I'm not fulfilling my own social duty. So we just have different ideas of what our social duty is.
Yeah, because I found over the long time if I'm just always being myself, people don't like that. Like it's just
But
I
that's them. That's not you. Not everyone's gonna like you.
I know,
That's
but
the thing
then
about
like
being yourself. Not everyone's always gonna like it.
yeah, but then that just quickly destroys almost every interpersonal relationship I have, and then it's almost impossible to be functional. So
Every single one. Like you
yes,
can't. None of them like yourself.
most people do not like me if I'm just sort of being like. And I will also note that I'm not always like an excited person, right? But when I am sort of being like my more excited or giddy self, you might say, um,
Cujo.
yeah. Um, when I'm in that mood, I know that not everybody is going to respond well to it, and that the long term consequences are that I could have enough rugs pulled under my feet that I never get to be that Joe again. I like to think about like, well, what are my future opportunities to be that person? You know, how do I budget it so that I'm maximizing the opportunities to do that over the course of my life?
Well, I can tell you it's been a great hit here so far. Everybody
Yeah,
seemed
because I
to really
budgeted it.
like.
Nobody's
If
tired of it.
that's you being yourself, everybody around here
But I would also
seem to
say
have a very
exercising.
positive appreciation for it.
I would also say exercising restraint is me being myself as well. That I can choose to do so, and it is not difficult.
That's twisting my head up. That's like a paradox. That's
Life is full of ironies.
my me being myself is me also choosing to not be myself.
Oh, it's like uh, what is it? Jordan Peterson's often said, right? It's like um, having a sword, but knowing when to draw it, right? You don't always have it pulled out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I
So
don't.
I look at it like that. Like the
But
sword might be the real me in a sense, but the sheath is also part of the deal too. And the sheath is just as real as
but
the
when do
sword.
we so like we get mostly sheath? When do
Yeah.
we get sword? If the sword is the real you, we've gotten it 2 or 3 times max.
When I think it counts, and if I don't think it counts, then that just must be how I actually feel.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, welcome back.
Okay,
Yeah,
my bad. I got a call.
Ah.
that's cool.
Yeah, but what was y'all talking about? What was y'all saying?
Being yourself, kind of what Cult's saying right here, assessing the risk of being yourself and then deciding if it's worth it or not. And for me, there's almost never a reason not to be yourself. It's always worth being yourself.
Well,
Well, I
heard
think
this.
there's. Yeah.
Have you
Go
ever
ahead.
heard that you are the author of your life? You know, and do shit like treat your dick like it's your birthday or something. You know what I mean? Like you got to know how to have some type of discipline. First of all, secondly, you know, not everything you want is something you need or good for you. Naturally, we're impaired. We're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So some of our decision making is not going to be that great. And that's inevitable, right? So I think it's just you know um, understanding the risk that you're about to take and being more mindful of every step that you take as well.
I never know the risk till I take. That's how I find out the risk is by taking
Exactly.
it for, and then that's like, oh, okay, that's what happens when you're yourself with that
But at the
person.
end of the day, you have to be mindful of what could happen as well,
I can't
because you don't
predict
want to
that.
just be moving off of, oh, okay, this experience is how I'm going to learn. You can avoid some things. There's preventative measures you can take as well.
Yeah, I would say there's at least two basic paths to the self, right? There's us in the moment, and then there's like the meta version of us that we look back on things we do in the moment and think, am I happy with this? Do I like who I am in these moments? Do I aspire to be more like this? Are these mistakes from which I want to learn? And I would say both of those voices come from inside, even if their tones are different. And if you can find alignment between those two and a balance between um, who you are, like responding in a moment versus over a series of moments that have some sort of long-term intent. I think both of those are being yourself. Because again, I don't do things to fake anyone out, right? I either plainly express, what I think without a filter, which isn't as often, or I just keep it minimal and express little. But I don't express things that aren't actually in me. Like, so I don't, feign joy or anger or sadness about things. Um, it's probably one of the reasons why um, I don't get a lot of women, because I don't bullshit to get them, for example, right? I'm not going to fake like I'm this whole character um, just to um, flirt with them in the moment, and then they find out, sometime down the road that's not what I'm really like. And then after that experience, they make a dating profile that says, "I'm tired of games." Those are the people we're swiping on.
I have those moments where I look back and not happy with myself in that moment, but that was still me being myself in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. Like any other option would have been falsifying me. So even if I'm not happy with it upon reflection, I would still, I, I, I still accept it as what it was in that moment. It was me
Mm-hmm.
being me. And
Yeah.
then so maybe in the future I'll do something different, but in that moment it was still, so I'm not too hard on myself for stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll give an example, and I'll sort of go back to the example with my mother. Um, I talked about how she had the issues in her upbringing with her parent that caused her to be controlling and untrusting of people in her life. So that didn't just include me, but my sister and my father. And yeah, I would never say she had a positive relationship with us on the whole because of that. And it's just always, there's some things that become clear later on. You look back and say, oh, this was not as pleasant as I thought. Like she was kind of always crazy. Um, and I mean, to this day, my mother largely sees herself as a victim who had things wrong, and but she's also very quick to be judgmental and dismissive of others. And then I noticed that, into my 20s, just based on some interpersonal conflicts and relationships that fell apart in college, for example. When I'm finally like an adult away from my parents and just, always wound up and let loose what I was acting like. And I look back and I thought, you know, these are things very similar to what your mother might do or say, or what you feel like your mother does to you, or to your sister, or to your father. And I asked myself, does it really make sense to hate all those things about your mother, but then um, do very similar things with no sense of awareness? Like I found that I could do things that were judgmental or elitist, like my mother does, and that ultimately, my mother lived much of her life being a bully and a tyrant to the people around her as a response to the problems in her upbringing. And so then I just thought, and I'm like, maybe I start to realize this as around when I'm like maybe 22, 23. Um, I think, uh, is this who I want to continue to be? Am I just going to end up this way if I keep going? So over the next couple of years, I really thought about that a lot and began sort of thinking about how I was reacting to things. And I sort of looked back and I said, by getting angry and fed up, I didn't prove that I was standing up for myself. I just proved that I know how to bully and tyrannize people and to get what I want. Maybe I need to dial it back. Maybe my anger is an illusion. Maybe it's just this emotional mechanism that served my ancestors well when they were getting jumped by lions and bears and they needed a little anger. But for most of my interactions, it's just causing me to overreact to things and create more problems that did not exist before. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to continue to sabotage my relationships as an adult. They may still fail anyway, but they will not be because of my input. So I slowly just, over the years began with, not happen instantly, right? It's just, there are a lot of habits that I slowly had to deprogram for myself. I think it helped too when I turned, you turn 25 as you get your mid 20s, your prefrontal cortex is fully developed on average. So you become less impulsive as well. Um, but like, my mother had that same opportunity throughout her adult life, but she never had that self-realization, and to this day is not. Um, and so that's the way I look at it. It's like my mother's definitely being her authentic self, but um, I turned away from that authentic self of hers long ago, and I have no intention of going back.
Well, we all have trouble understanding parents sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and what they've been through. But a lot of it is just that, what they've been through. So, and sad to say, we get some of that,
Mm-hmm.
But,
In fact, the more I learned about her, the more I get why she is the way she is, and the more it became clear to me that it would be ridiculous for me to expect that things would improve.
so
Like I know
you don't see any of her in you at all ever?
there's some of her in me, but I'm more self-aware of it, and so I used to be more likely to just say mean or judgmental things to people. I used to respond. I mean, there was a lot of angry shouting and fighting in my house. And so I used to respond to things like that. I don't do those things anymore. Um, to the point that I'm. I mean, I know you. It's been a while since you were on Jeff's panel, but I have a reputation of usually having a very milquetoast personality on these panels. That's why Jeff made a reference to this different version of me he called Cool Joe, because for once I kind of acted a bit more lively, and Jeff was
Yeah, and if
amazing.
you ever saw Cool Joe, you'd know what I'm talking about. You'd know
Oh
the
yeah, the
difference.
dog movie.
And I never use the word milk toast, but it's a
Yeah,
good word.
I've seen Cujo. But yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and I think because you even asked me one day if your delivery was like if it could benefit from added personality or something, and the answer is yes. Cool Joe is better content. Cool Joe is, I think, would bring more eyeballs to not only your own channel but any other channel or thing you're involved in. Hey, Manel, it humanizes you.
Oh, you said Cool Joe. I thought you were saying Cool Joe, like the dog.
No, that's me. No, yeah, Cool Joe. Not to be
You know what I'm
confused with
talking
Joe
about? That
Cool,
old school
who
movie,
was
Cool Joe.
here earlier.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
It's cool. I don't know.
Yes, I will say that's the one thing I let get through my usual monotone filter on here, is I'm just not hiding the jokes or the remarks.
Yeah, you should never have to do that, man. People are too damn sensitive nowadays.
It's true.
Yes,
But the thing
and
is, it's
I
like
don't cater to or enable that sensitivity.
the problem is that people who don't like you, it's not just your relationship with them, but people who don't like you, their response to that might not just be to have a bad experience with you, but they might plant seeds with other people,
So
right? So then your relationship, maybe you could have a good relationship with other people, but if they are prejudiced against you because of gossip and stuff,
right, but that's not people you want around anyway. If they're gonna be that, if they're gonna like listen to the seeds and base their judgment of you on that, they're just filtering them out of your life for you. They're helping you
I
out.
mean, maybe, but like a lot of people work on that. Like that's just people in general. Like a lot of people, that might be someone that they usually trust, and then they're getting a bad tip from them, and you don't necessarily know a bad tip when
I
you
don't
get
want
it.
to be friends with somebody that's gonna not that's gonna think negatively of me because of something somebody told them and not gonna form their own judgment. I don't need that person in my life. Put it this way, I'm not gonna go out of my way to be a certain way to avoid having that happen.
I think another thing too is like especially like in a workplace, some people will try to turn the workplace against you, and then you're out of a job, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And so
that's what you do is you got to assert yourself immediately so they know what it is. And then, either they're going to fire you immediately or they're going to give you a chance at who you are. That's what I do. And I got to go through a corporate situation next week where it's going to be a change, so you got to understand that element of like life, right? And so it's not what you do, it's how you do it, how you deal with it. And then, but I also have to let my presence known because I've been here. I've been running shit. So don't come in here thinking that you doing something extravagant when we already know what's going on. Everybody else knows what it is and you don't, So when you come in here, you better have some sense, But people will do what people will do. So we'll see what type of individual this is, And that's like on a corporate type of business scale,
And none of that happens in a functional workplace. What you talking about, Joe? That happens in a dysfunctional workplace. If they're able to turn an office against you with gossip, that's a dysfunctional office to begin with.
a lot of workplaces are dysfunctional. I just had lunch with my
Yeah,
dad.
I
He
try to
was
find the
telling
ones
me
that are functional. I
stories.
don't waste my time working
He
for
was telling me stories
dysfunctional
about
people.
dysfunctional workplaces. That's really hard to avoid. Yeah, it's really hard just to you can't immediately move out of a dysfunctional workplace, right? Like you have to find another income source if you don't already have one. Like it's not like someone you see at like coffee shop, right? Just don't sit with them anymore. It's easy to stop that, but work is much harder to think. And there are some things that are, there's like different scenarios in life that are harder and easier to avoid than others.
Well, tough guy. What's going on with with you with your work? Is this a new job?
Oh no, this so I just got in the corporate world probably about mm, 10 to 12 years ago because I had custody of my daughter, and like when you are dealing with the courts and shit, they want to see shit on paper, basically, right? So, and one thing my older cousin told me was, man, you get a job, try to keep it and do good with it, because I always like did music. I'm a professional musician. That's kind of what I've always done,
Oh,
or
cool.
just hustle on the side, right? Uh, because I got my little hustles, and then so long story short, that's something I do now as far as early in the morning because I get up early anyway. So I try to get it done. That way I could do whatever I need to do after, about like 2 o'clock, right? So this corporate situation I'm in now, I've been running, you know, everything for about since October because the guy that was the actual supervisor that put me on didn't show up for a whole month. And so they really liked him and gave him chance after chance, and he just didn't show up. So, they had to let him go. And so, they're looking for someone with 3 years of leadership skills, which I don't have, but I've been running shit and doing shit since October. And I just didn't understand why they wouldn't consider me, but I already know what it
You
is.
probably have it in other forms that you could.
That's I do it already, and this is the whole thing is I know what it is, but you know
Yeah.
they don't want a black man running some shit like that, man.
Oh,
That's how I feel about it. But
you like
anyway,
your race is playing into it.
well, I mean, if you see who they hired, I mean,
You,
I
I
mean,
keep telling people that that stuff doesn't happen as like as much as it used to, but you think it still does,
well, let's just say I've been running shit since October. It's now
and not getting the
January,
credit for it.
and then he's just now starting. Well, I mean, I got a very significant pay increase.
Do you feel like you have to work harder than the other people around you because of your race
Mm,
to overcome the perceptions or whatever
yeah and
it
no,
is?
because at the end of the day, I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes and shit like that too. Because when he left me without knowing shit. So I didn't know a lot of that shit. I had to step into that role.
Was he a white guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's conceivable that they might not want a black man to have a more senior position in something like that. I
Why?
could see
If
how.
he's good at what he does and he's running it and he's doing it better than the guy that
I mean,
abandoned the
some
post.
some
Well,
people are going to
I
have
wouldn't say
negative
I did it better
perceptions.
than him. I'll say this: he was really, really good. Like I'm a professional musician, right? Like he was good at that corporate type of management position, just as I am in music.
Oh,
But what I would say is I'm not like on that type of level with it, right? So there might be some other elements to like administration and dealing with um spreadsheets and all that because I do that, right? But I think it's a little bit more intricate in certain instances and dealing with numbers and customers and ordering shit and all. It's just a lot of extra shit that I wasn't doing, but I had to step into that, right? And so I've been doing it, So
and do you do it well?
I mean, I get it done. I mean, you know, I
That's all
also
I
had
care about
I had
at
a
all
little
from
bit
a
of
coworker,
assistance.
employee, anybody.
Yeah, I get
Did
it
they do
done. I
the
mean, I
work?
get a lot done actually, and then I got a contract um, to have the buildings cleaned. So that's a whole nother business. I have a few different things that I do as far as just a business mind, and I think that that may be another thing that played into it. Maybe he just doesn't want to pay me over a certain amount of money or something. I don't know. I don't know.
But
Well, let
just
me
the
ask you this, tough guy. When you say like their perception of you as a black
But
guy
he
is working
obviously
against you.
thinks that I'm a good worker, and he, like he understands that I'm valuable to his company. But I don't know.
Well, yeah,
just the
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to
fact
What
ask.
were
that
you
there's
saying?
that
Go ahead.
ambiguity, there's
What were you
that
trying to
doubt.
ask?
Yeah,
My bad.
yeah, I wanted to ask like just more about how you think that's working against you. Like, is there like what do you think are the things that they're responding to about you negatively that you didn't get the position?
Um, in all honesty, I really don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Like that's probably what it is. It's like a nonchalant attitude, and they did give me more money, so I'm just like, all right.
To me, that's the biggest indicator. If they gave you more money, then there's not really a barrier there.
Yeah, it was like $5 more.
And white people can be nonchalant and slackers too. I know I am. If they go off of attitude, that's why I look at the work. Is the work getting done? That's all I care about. I don't care what attitude somebody has while they're doing it.
Well, this is the whole thing. The owner is never there. Our GM lives in a whole nother state, and all the employees make that shit run. And it's only four of us. Well, five sometimes. The other lady has help, plus me, and that's it.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's why, because I had to send an email like, "Yo, y'all gonna have to pay me some more money." I did, dog. I did. I sent that email like, "Hey,
And
yo,
they did.
yo." Yeah, they did. I mean, it was only right. I mean, what the fuck?
Uh huh.
But still, like, you know what I'm saying? You could have been like, all right, man, we're gonna try you out at this position. We're gonna pay you more than what you was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what's up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's already been running like that. Let's, you know, instead of hiring another individual, that's more money. I mean, so I don't understand. Like for me, I don't, understand. If everything is moving along, everything is straight, why are you gonna have this other motherfucker that don't even know what the fuck going on at all? You like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I mean, does that make sense or not?
Did you ask them?
No, because I mean, it ain't my business.
Oh,
It's his business. I ain't the boss, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's just, you know how most people like, I need this job. I look at it as like they need me.
yeah, yeah. That's how I am too. I'm bringing something to them just as much as they're giving me an opportunity.
Yeah. So, a lot of people have a different mindset or perception on like a job. Like, oh, you got a boss. I'm like, no, I'm my own boss. I might use them as a contract, even if it's 40 hours a week. Nigga, like I live in California, so that's like mandatory. I got a 16-year-old daughter, nigga. Like hustle ain't gonna do it every time. That's up and down. You need something that's gonna be consistent, that's on paper and all that shit. But where I'm from, they
Know
make
it
it
now.
seem like, what I'm saying, that's not, like having a job. Like, no, motherfucker, we work around here, nigga. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to be an entrepreneur. Everybody want to have their own business. You know what I'm saying? Which I do. I mean, I also do I'm a musician. I do coaching. I do management. I mean, there's a lot of different things I do, of course, but you can't be complacent. You got to know how to like maximize your time on this earth. We all got the same 24 hours.
Hmm.
Like even right now, I told y'all I was like, yeah, shit, I got a little bit of time right now. I'll kick it with y'all for a minute. Yeah, but I ain't gonna be here all day.
I'd like the rest of the panelverse. Yeah, well, I appreciate you kicking it. I think this was a good conversation.
Hmm.
Yeah, I try to bring some value to whoever I'm speaking to. So, if you're willing to listen, then I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah,
It's just
I'm gonna
up to you
remember
to
you now.
receive
So
it. Yeah, I thought you would have from last time, but it's all good. I ain't tripping.
it it must have been a long
I'm
time
like
ago.
unforgettable, nigga. Like that's why I'm like, this nigga don't remember me, nigga.
Well, Jeff's authentic self doesn't always have great memory.
Yeah, it's all good. It's been a while.
I do
It's
have a
been at
pretty good
least a year
memory
though.
though. I
Yeah, it's
I
been at least.
honestly don't remember, and we don't even get a lot of black people on here, so you think he'd stand out, but even then,
Hmm.
and I have a good memory for black people.
Hmm.
So
Sometimes
maybe you're
you
right,
said,
Joe. Maybe my memory is deteriorating.
yeah, you've said,
Part of it is the avatar. Like I go a lot by the
oh,
avatars and the names, and I don't
but Jeff,
recognize the
you've even
picture.
said that people say that you act black sometimes, right?
Uh-huh. Well, I grew up black. Yeah, I was raised by black people.
Jeff, for
it's
first black
it's
president.
natural when you're raised by it or you're around it. You just can't
Yeah,
help
I'm
it.
more comfortable with black people than white people. If I had a room full of white people, and a room full of black people, strangers, I would go to black. I'd have better chances with the black room
I'm more comfortable with country black people because those are the ones I grew up around.
than urban.
But black people are really accepting and loving and forgiving. You would be surprised.
Yeah, I
Well,
love and they're very tolerant of strong emotion. They don't freak out about emotion like white people do either. So I could have my emotional intensity. I could
Yeah,
spurg out, and it's not as big a deal for
passionate. We're
them.
passionate.
Yeah,
well,
they're
what I like about like
yes.
country black people is like they're very hardworking, and so if you pull your weight, they will respect and appreciate you,
Yeah, that's how
and
I
they'll
Well,
am.
laugh at good jokes.
what's the contrast? Urban black people?
No, more like
Like,
I'd say maybe suburban, like ones who have been gentrified.
yeah, like,
Oh,
well, I think it's just
the
there's a difference
bougies.
between black people and niggas. That's basically what he's saying. I mean, you can't say it, but I'll say it for you. You talking about black people, not niggas.
You know about the real Sadiddy?
Black people are go to college and go to church and they're like you know productive members of society. You know, niggas. There's a couple of the niggas that do the same thing, but they're just a little bit more ghetto. Um, they homeboys might be in crime. They might know somebody that's in crime. They might be in crime. It's just kind of like a way of life.
That's the dividing line.
Yeah.
Even black women. I don't have the issues with black women that I have with white women. So as much as I talk about women and all this stuff, I'm only talking about white women because none of that happens with black women.
Yeah, black women are a little bit different. You know.
Unless it's black women that have assimilated to white culture and are trying to be act like the white women. But
Right.
that's not most of the black women I know.
Yeah, most black women ain't trying to be white. You know.
No, they're just themselves.
Yeah,
Like
there you
I'm really
go.
good with people that can just be themselves and are real. And a lot of white people try to play this very specific particular role that they feel like society expects them
Well,
to
they
have a
just
lot of
try too hard.
anxiety.
I think some white people just try too hard. Like they
Yeah.
be doing too
Yeah.
much. Like like a lot of the shit that white people do is not necessary.
But I
And a
think
lot of the
they
shit that black
pressure
people
each
do is
other
not
to all be this
necessary
certain
either.
way.
So it's not just one sided. You know, that could go both ways.
Oh, white inwards. Yeah, I've heard that concept before. Then
Well,
they
they
had the
call that white
Wiggers
trash, don't
back
they?
in the 90s where the little white boys went out of their way to try to be black.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
Eminem
Oh, the
types.
Wiggers.
Yeah.
I mean, But this is the thing. Like I got a homeboy Pilgrim. That nigga look. He got gold teeth. He just been around us for so long. The nigga is white boy, but he's. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. He just.
He's black.
He one of us, nigga. Shit.
Yeah, because a lot of it's culture. It's not skin color. It's
Yeah, nigga,
speech
right. Because if you
patterns,
just around,
cultural
nigga, you
patterns,
like
different
family. Like the homeboy Bristol, he was white, but that nigga was like our brother, nigga. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's usually much easier to get along with simple folk than people who are too in their own heads, which people often do when they go to college.
Yes, that's my experience too.
Yeah, I even think I had that problem for a bit.
Being in your head.
Yeah,
Or,
'cause, you grow up, you grow up there like you are college bound, right? That just they fill these ideas in your head. Then you get there, and after a while you think, is growing up into like one of these college bound people just turning me into a dick, right? And I don't think a lot of people want to look at that as the result of their college degree, but for some of them, that is the biggest result of their college degree.
and I'm definitely in my head. I'm always in my head, but it's my own head. I'm in my own world in my head. I'm not in something a head like people didn't put things into my head that I'm in.
Yeah, that's real, man. Life crazy, man. Life is all about experience, and people and relationships. And
Experience and wisdom, and you acquire enough of it after a while to pass on the
well,
little bit you
it's a
can.
new
Hope it
year, man.
helps.
What are some of y'all's short term and long term? Let's say the 3 to 6 months. What y'all got?
I'm trying to find a job.
A
So
job?
my immediate goal is to, like you, get a hustle going so I can have some income.
Well, yeah, you got to have more than one though. That's the
Yeah, well,
thing. So
I have my own business and I have this channel, but I need some real world
something
income
else.
to stabilize all of that.
Yeah, that's with the health insurance and
Hmm.
the 401k and all that shit. And, because the thing is, it's never enough nowadays. I mean, you know, and the more you make, the more you spend because everything is higher. You know, so
Yeah, we live in a capitalist society, so you got to get some of that capital.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, every day you should be making at least $300
Oh Lord,
at
if only.
least.
I'd be happy if I make that in a week.
Yeah,
But and
I
then
mean
long
anywhere from
term, it's
about
just
three
to
hundred
keep growing the channel
to a
and
thousand dollars.
wait. Say again.
Anywhere from about $300 to $1,000 every
A
day,
week
a
or a
day,
day?
a day.
How? What is that? Street life? You talk about the street way?
No, I'm just talking about in general shit.
Is
Even
that
if
what
you have a
corporate's
job,
pay?
that's
Maybe
about
I need to go
150. So
corporate.
if you make 150 at the job, then you need to make another 150, and that's about average of like. Can you make a screen, a double screen, and put up a big screen and look up something, and I'll show you
Um,
what I mean. Or
y-
if you're able to do that. I don't know if you
yeah,
Probably.
are.
you can either share it and I could share what you show me, or you could tell me what to search for.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what to search for. Just go on, like I'm in San Diego, so go on Craigslist in San Diego, and just there's parts for apartments, and then there's parts for rooms and shared, meaning you gotta like
Oh
have
yeah, that's where I
roommates.
used to get my rooms from.
So I want to show you how much just
Shared room.
a shared room costs here in San Diego, and then we can go into
Oh, okay. I was in.
studio apartments.
Hang on, let me switch to San Diego. All right, so you're saying go in the shared rooms site?
Yes, and then put in, I don't know, $2,500 max, and then put in $1,500 minimum, and then you'll see what shows up, because that's about average. Now, if you get 800, 900,000, you probably living in the hood. That's like hood prices.
Okay, this kind of stuff. That's not too bad. Look, this is nice. That's real nice. How do I get out
And
of
that's
here?
just the room. And if you look at some of the rules, they'd be like, you can't use the kitchen, you can't cook, you can't have overnight
This.
guests, you can't smoke weed, you
What?
can't do
Oh
this.
no. Not if I'm
Well,
paying. Ooh, I
exactly.
love these floors. Look at this. 1,600. You get this whole space. Wow. Man, I'm ready to move to San Diego. Oh wait, it's in California. No, maybe not. This is this is more than I was paying for an entire apartment in Seattle, but I'd say these are nice rooms. I don't know why they're showing living rooms though, unless they're. So this
It's
is like
gonna
you share the house and the kitchen. Oh,
exactly,
look at this.
but you're gonna have probably about 3 to 4 to 5 roommates.
Hmm.
So you're gonna be sharing the
I'm used to
bathroom,
living that
unless
way.
no, can't do that. I got my own bathroom.
How did you get into corporate? Do you have any tips?
How do you get into what?
Corporate,
Carbro?
corporate,
Corporate.
corporate
Oh,
job.
resume, man, and
Oh Lord.
just
Well,
working. So I got through a temp service,
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm signed up on
and
some
then
temp
I did
services.
pretty well, and then they just was like, "Hey, we remember you. We have an opening." And then I came in, and that was history.
I've
So
gotten several jobs through temp services.
yeah, that definitely helps. I mean, it just shows that you want to work by going through a temp service as well. Companies rather see that on your resume than you not working at all.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm gonna
uh,
hit them up Monday. Now that I think about
that's
it.
that's that's all that's all that's about. Just like what type of drive do you have? Do you want to make some money or no money? You know what I'm saying? So you can work labor ready job. You can go lift some shit all day. Be cold and do construction, whatever. Nigga,
How
just
do you
try to
find
get some
the
money.
labor ready jobs?
I don't know. Type in labor ready. Type in temp.
Like on
Type in
Craigslist?
manpower. Type in. I mean, if you really want money, you're gonna find a way.
What's up, Zephyr? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was. Sorry.
Oh,
Hi.
I'm looking at the disco ball.
Oh, we
Hey,
got a lady. What's up,
a
lady? How you
lady,
doing?
yeah. We got.
I wouldn't call me a lady.
No, she's not. She's not a normal lady because I get along with her.
No, I was just saying. You're not a man, so
Yeah. No,
yeah.
although I do speak Manese.
Oh,
Oh, I don't
can
know
you
what that
mansplain?
means. Can you?
I
Yeah,
could. I am. Yeah, I
give me
probably
a
could.
short synopsis on what that means.
Dudes talk a certain way. It's usually very blunt.
Ah, okay.
That's considered man being blunt. I
Yeah,
thought that's
and
just
Maybe masculine is what she was trying to convey.
yeah, and
because
like
women like circle up to something.
yeah, we're more
They have to test the
logical.
waters.
I got a question for you. Why do women lie and fake so much when
Let's
they
get
know
into it.
what's going
And
on?
I
It's
do not
called
know
gaslighting. Why do they
that
do that?
shit.
True. Why do they do that? I wonder that.
I don't know. The only thing I know about other women's behavior that I particularly don't like that I could explain is vengeance. Yeah, I don't like it. I think it's dumb and it comes from insecurity.
Yeah, it's like it's not like I've never
But
run into guys
lying,
who
I don't
bullshit.
hate lies, honestly.
Yeah,
I guess probably the same sort of reasons, but
Because they're afraid out of fear.
yeah, for
they're
fear
afraid that
reasons.
we'll strangle them if we hear
Oh
something we don't
Lord.
want to hear.
And it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Yeah.
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 Because like all else being equal, if a guy thinks I'm weak shit, he's much more likely just to tell me that rather than tiptoe around it or just outright lie about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of women keep people from their lessons by not being as forthcoming and toward in their behavior. But I don't know. I guess
Well,
it's
it's kind of like
nature.
how men learn, like when you're told you're a great guy by women, that they actually mean the opposite.
Oh, see, I will call bullshit on that because it's not like that in 100% of cases. But yeah, most of the time I agree.
Well, like every context in which I've been told I'm a great guy, I know that's like it just doesn't make sense.
Think somebody's trying to use you or just like kissing ass or what?
They're just trying to placate you, like, oh, Joe feels bad. I may not even feel bad, but they may sense that. And
You're sure that you're not like confusing your expectations of them being different than the actuality with like there being some ulterior motive on their part? Because like I like you, I think you're great, but I'm not like interested in you in a relationship. So that's kind of like, is that rejection? I don't think so.
But my thing is, why are you entertaining that individual anyway, especially if you know he's interested in having sex with you? That's why most men deal with women in the first place.
Like,
but most men,
gay guys don't, which is great. I love gay guys.
But that's the whole thing is gay dudes be faking the funk and they be fucking bitches too.
Wait, what we be doing?
They be faking the funk. They be acting gay, or they'll be gay and they still be having sex with women.
Oh, not the gay people I know. Definitely not.
like him.
Gay best friends. My friends sleep with my boyfriend. I've had that happen before, where they hit on my boyfriend. But
oh, your gay friends get with your boyfriend? What's his role in all this?
So, to clarify a bit,
I wasn't worried about it, but still, that was a different boyfriend than the cheater.
To clarify a bit, it's not necessarily in the context of rejection. In fact, it's almost never that. I mean it more in the sense of women who clearly find me unattractive will say I'm a great guy. And in my view, I think, like,
oh, you're getting friend zoned. That's the friend zone.
Yeah, in my view, I think if like eventually I just I worked it out. I don't know how many years ago I worked this out. I just thought the great guys are not being told they're great. They're just with the women. The women don't say it to them. They show it through their actions. And if you're being told, that's in fact the confirmation that you're not great. Because why would you need to be told that you're great if you are?
You're great for someone else.
So see, and I think if you say that you think that you're not great, that makes me want to tell you the truth. Because
But that's why women but women say what they don't want, and they always choose what they say they don't want.
Well, and I'm not talking about whether I'm great as a matter of fact, but just a matter of I might think I'm wonderful, right? But if we're talking about what other people think and whether or not they're accurately expressing what they think, I know for my part, I've never told a woman that I thought was unattractive, that isn't someone I could consider, that she was great or anything to juice her up emotionally.
But that's why they say that women like liars and cheaters, because who do they talk about the most?
I hate liars.
Because the whole thing is there's a good dude and they always be like, oh, that's my good friend. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not giving him even a chance.
Because he's not exciting.
But the whole thing is, they'll choose an individual that is not acceptable, but they accept it, and then they wonder why am I in this position with this individual?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if they're wondering that, then maybe they'll learn something, right?
Not necessarily.
I don't listen when women complain about their relationships.
They don't learn, because then they'll hop on to the next situation, and it's sort of the same thing. It's a cycle, and it's again hurt people. So it's just not only that they're hurting themselves, they're involving other people in that type of behavior.
guys do the same thing too. So like they pick girls that are like obviously using them. I mean, or like feeling, blowing smoke up their ass. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we see it, but I
Yeah, it
think
happens
the way
vice
in
versa,
which
of course.
it happens kind of just plays out differently, right?
yeah, the power
So
dynamic's
like,
totally different.
yeah, so like, what you're describing almost sounds like, a guy who becomes a stepfather rather than just, get his own family outright, right? The daddy ran away because he was a deadbeat, and so then she just gets an easy man, and then he pays for her kids, and then she henpecks him throughout the marriage. Yeah,
Simp
kind of
relationship. Yeah.
right. And so it's like it's gonna be. I mean, he's married to her. He's probably fucking her a little. He's got at least the bare minimum, but it's certainly not like a relationship with the same kind of like value and respect of like what you would think is a happy marriage.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and I really feel for you hearing what you shared about like going back home, and I can kind of relate. Like, I ended up going, and after being in an abusive relationship, I like called my dad to rescue me, which was like my last resort. I like didn't have any other options at that point, and he came and he rescued me, and then I found myself back in my childhood state sort of again after going out and adulting and like having just gone through this like emotionally traumatic breakup. That was like I had a fat lip. I was like, I'm going to take responsibility for my part of that because like we were arguing and I could have let him walk out the door, but I was blocking the door, and that's probably why I got hit. But that's not a very popular opinion according to a lot of women. But but yeah, after like going back to my dad's house, I like couldn't even stay there for like 2 weeks because it was just like, wow, this does not
You were there for 2 weeks.
yeah, with my kids. And as soon as I could find a couch that somebody would let me sleep on, my kids in a playpen behind the couch, I was out of there. It was like anything was better than living with my dad again. He's a
Oh,
narcissist, so I understand what you were saying about how like the more you hear about like what your mom had gone through in her younger years too, that it becomes easy to see why they're that way. Because like I went through the same kind of process. Like I had to know why my dad was like he was, and I found out all the truth. And it doesn't really make it any easier, but a little bit it does, I guess, because it doesn't excuse his behavior, but it's like it makes it everybody's always just doing the best that they can at all times.
you think? I can think of so much better they could be doing.
Well, but that's from the outside. It's so hard to see it when you're inside a person.
I don't know if I believe, like, it's not that hard to think of. If you're like abusing somebody and beating them, it's not that hard to think of better than that.
How do you know though?
It just seems like it wouldn't be. Like there's got to be something really wrong with them if they can't think of better options than hitting
Yeah,
somebody
usually there is. There's something wrong with everybody.
Mhm.
We can't
or drug
explain why a
addiction
lot
or
of people
alcohol.
do a lot of shit, but
Yeah,
that's
it's
who they are. It's a part of their character flaws or who they are. But that's the thing is, that's what I was saying earlier. So even do you see your dad in yourself?
yes, I do. And I try and think of him, the positive things that he instilled in me too, because there are some of those. Took a long time to be able to accept that I was at all like him. But
Hmm.
but yeah, I could
It
see it.
comes out, and you be like, "What the fuck, man?" Like my mom and my dad, it comes out of me. I see her
Well,
all the time.
like most people that really annoy you or like irritate you where you're triggered, I have this like saying, it's like say nothing untoward. If you're mad, it's probably you. Shut the fuck up. Because it's just like a default. It's safer that way. It's because most of the time when somebody triggers you, they have things that you don't like about yourself that you just happen to, they reflect to you that back.
Hmm. I'd say that's true. It
Hmm.
doesn't stop me from saying things, but
Oh yeah, me
agree
neither.
that that's true.
But I try to not say anything. I have almost no filter. It's kind of hard. I used to like never say anything. I would just push it all down. Not a good idea.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I know.
I
That's
don't
why I
have
like.
that skill. Hey, Brooke. Wonderful people of YouTube land. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 of them here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's so sensitive nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go around irritating everybody. Maybe they'll get used to it. Stop being such a pussy. Or balls. I should say balls because balls are way more sensitive and vulnerable. Nothing against men. I mean, I don't know how you guys do have all your shit out where it's all exposed and vulnerable. I would just be like all the time.
I mean, it's all we've ever known at this point, right?
Yeah, I guess
Oh, yeah.
so.
Exterior organs are a strange thing. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I like having everything inside where it's safe.
Hey, Brooke. What's up?
I'm up to 5'2", full of shit and no good.
Do you have any thoughts on men and how awful they are?
Mm-hmm.
They're
Got
wonderful.
another lady. What's up, other
Some
ladies?
some are jerks and some are really, really nice.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
That's not
I say
very
that
dramatic
about women too,
for
though.
content.
What?
I said
Women,
that.
I could say that about women though too. Well, not
Yeah.
jerks. We can use another word for women, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to say it.
I mean,
I
I'm trying to be nice because there are some.
Well, no, we don't want nice. We want real. Remember the real
Yeah, give
world
me
where
the
people
honest
stop
truth.
being polite and start getting real. That's what we want.
Well, I feel like there are. I feel like in some, not all cases, because I know plenty of awesome men, but I feel like some men think they're. I mean, and this goes with women as well, but I feel like some men think they have the right to control me and a woman, and I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about reproductive rights. I'm just talking about how some people think women shouldn't work, should have to, get married, shouldn't be independent and all that jazz.
It's just
Like,
we
opinions.
can't be bosses.
yeah.
Or
What?
we can't
I,
take
d-
Well, I do think that women do need structure, and I think that women count on men in a lot of different instances until
I don't.
they don't
I-
agree with a man, and then then they try to discount men and disrespect men. But even when they separate from a man, they're still looking for a man to solve some of their issues that they may have in life, because we have made things so livable and we have civilized the world as men so much to where y'all feel so confident to speak the way y'all do. But in other countries, you would see that, women don't have as many rights as women do here in the United States. And the whole thing is, life isn't fair. I hate the sentiment of, things need to be fair, because, we live better than a lot of people. We're actually blessed. I think that it's just too much entitlement going on and not knowing how to work together. I think the reunification of male and female need to get back to the fundamentals. But go ahead.
But tough guy, dude, I don't need a man to give me fucking structure. I can create my
disagree.
own
I disagree.
structure.
he don't even
I
know
disagree.
you. He disagrees.
I can create
disagree.
my own structure.
I'm sure you can, but it's gonna be
but
without
why?
instructions. You're headed for destruction. I'm sorry.
No, I don't need instruction. Like, I don't need instructions from a man or a woman, but yes, instructions are helpful.
Nobody
but
is above reproof. It says in the Word of God that there is safety in counsel. So
Yeah.
yes, you do need structure. You do
Was this
need
the kind of man
guidance.
you were talking about? Because I was about to say that I don't think many men in this day and age are like that, Brooke, but I could be wrong.
Maybe you can answer a question
He's-
for me. I had an experience where my guy was very upset whenever I told him that I wanted him, but I did not need him. Why is that?
Insecurity.
Are you?
Oh no,
Are
I
you
was
asking?
asking that guy what his opinion is since he's I'm assuming a hetero guy. I mean, your opinion is very valuable too, Dad.
Exactly, not lost. What not lost said.
Oh Lord, I'll be back. I can't watch.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh my gosh, I never would have thought. Yeah, I think that's part of it. Is anthropomorphizing God also makes
You
God
know what's crazy is people want to choose, choose and pick what the Word of God says. That's just crazy to me, man. You know, this is where just the different denominations come from.
I believe in
And
God.
you said what?
I believe in God. I'm
No, I'm not
actually
saying that. I'm saying
I believe in
okay.
God.
So my point is, he said, don't try to use scripture to promote misogyny. I'm not
Or misandry.
promoting anything. Like what I'm trying to say is there is a hierarchy in life. Period.
There is,
You know,
but it had to be.
I mean, women know this too. You know that there's gonna be a girl that's prettier than you that's gonna take a position. That's just how it goes. And
That's
it might be
fine.
fucked up, but that's just how
Natural
it
law.
is.
It's not an enforced hierarchy of. I mean, like I think if somebody is able
You got to
to
look
do,
at reality, not how you feel. I think that women
but,
look at how they
but
feel
you
all the
don't
time
know
instead of
reality.
looking at what's real.
It's like
What's
it's all
real and how you feel, that's two different things. Just like
nobody.
what you want and what you need. You might
Can
want
you
something, but
let
is the actual need.
Can you let I can't pronounce your name.
Zephyr.
Yeah, Zephyr. Respond and answer, please, so we can all hear what she has to say.
Yeah. It's if he doesn't want to listen, it's not that important. So
Hey, I think everybody voice is important, even if I don't agree with it.
I appreciate that. But go ahead, tough guy. Say what you were gonna say. I like you. You're nice so far. I just think some of your ideas are a little bit biased.
I think I pissed tough guy off and I wasn't trying to.
I
I'm
thought
sorry.
you was talking you told me to be quiet so she could talk.
Yeah, and I said, go ahead. You could say what you're gonna say.
No, I'm quiet, man. See, I know how to listen. Go ahead, say what you gotta say. Because for me, you probably gonna think I'm opinionated. You're not gonna agree with me, but I'm gonna just tell you what the facts are. You don't have to agree with the truth.
But I think that you thinking that you know,
The truth is objective. It's not how you feel. It's not subjective.
Truth is from inside of your subjective perceptions is a little presumptive. It's
Well, this is
presumptive.
the whole thing. Everything works on generalities. Everything works on judgment. Everything works on your physicality as a woman, my production as a man. So don't give me the bullshit.
Well, I have production too, and I take turns with my guy.
Yeah, but men don't give a fuck about your production. You could be a woman on the top of a hill in a big ass house, but guess what? You're still a woman and you're gonna be lonely. You're gonna want a man. No woman wants to be alone whenever you're done.
But it's the same thing for a man. Is gonna
Okay,
want.
but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need each other. Did you not hear what I said earlier? I said we need to get back to the reunification of the divine feminine and masculine. Men and women need to get their shit together and get back to the fundamentals. That's what I said.
It sounded like you see that fundamental as the man is the boss, leader,
The man. No, it's okay. So look at it like this:
the structure
you
maker.
have the human body, right? And then you have the head. Now the head is very important. It's got the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, and all of that, right? But if you don't have a neck, if that neck gets chopped off, then what?
Well, then you're dead and you get recycled.
Okay, so I'm saying what I'm trying to convey to you is the neck is just as important.
So I go out and I work on the street. Like I am on the street. I'm not a prostitute. Don't worry about that. But I read tarot cards and I go by myself and I defend myself. I protect myself.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, what? Back up. What are you talking about now?
She's saying she don't need no man.
I don't need a man. It's nice whenever they're around, and I appreciate them so much when they are.
Do you own a home?
Huh?
Do you own a home?
We do, yeah.
Who's we?
Me and my guy. Now.
Okay, so you do have a man.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to say you don't need one when you have one?
Yes, I want one.
That's a contradiction. No, that's a contradiction.
I don't need him. If
you do, you do. Obviously, you know you need him biologically. That's why you have one, because you want one. There's no other explanation for you wanting one. That's a natural gift God gave to you to want a man.
On each other, we're not codependent.
You're not getting what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
You totally overglad. I don't think you know. Sometimes we don't receive the message because of the messenger, and that's fine. So I'll save my breath.
You're just saying that I need a man, which I don't agree with.
Well, I disagree, and I don't agree with you because you're conveying a different message at home right now. I asked you if you own a home, and you said that you have a man that you own a home with. Mm-hmm. So whatever you're talking about is irrelevant, and you don't get that.
Why? We both
because you're not doing that by yourself, and I'm not saying that you couldn't, but you understand the value of that man, obviously.
Yes, I do.
Okay, then so shut the fuck up. What the fuck is you talking about? You sound crazy as hell. You sound crazy. You do.
Okay, that's
fine.
I
don't think she's crazy, but I think she's making a distinction between wanting and needing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I said that. I just said that, though, as far as her wanting, there is a need biologically. This is where the want comes from. And then, again, I also said that she sees some type of value in this man to own a home with him and to call him my guy, like she said. She didn't say he was my husband, so I didn't hear that.
Yeah, but we're not married yet. We're almost
okay
married.
Then. But you do own a home with him. That's what you said.
Yep.
So that's ass backwards to me.
But you would be okay without a man, too?
Mm-hmm. I was. And I was worse off with a man.
But you just kind of sound confused, ma'am.
It depends on the guy. Like,
yeah, totally. My previous relationship, I gave like 17 years of my life, and I was cheated on repeatedly.
Well, so you could be getting cheated on right now. You just might be better at it. You don't know. What you don't know what people
show up at the cards.
It would. And besides, he really is secure. I mean, like, whenever we first started dating, I found myself like kind of like editing like what I would wear whenever I would go out to work, and he flat out was like, don't do that, just be yourself. I know that I can trust you, and I know you make more money when you look sexy, so just dress the way that you would before. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. At first I was like, really? But it's great.
This is the only man in my life that I need.
That's a good man. Look at him. So loyal. Cats don't have to like you either, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As you can tell, he's a little grumpy even though he's purring.
Oh, he's so pretty. Hey, Billy.
Say hi to everybody.
There's a lot of grumpy men today. Speaking of, Barnabas, if you're out there, come up and add your voice to this conversation.
Oh, that's where I met you from, Barnabas.
Oh, was that? Yeah, he's. I I heard you were cheating on me with Jack Talcott of all people. Come on, show some respect.
I don't find Jack very interesting.
I would say you could do better than that, but I really
Who's
can't
this
say
Jack
that.
dude?
Jack
Who's this?
Talcott,
He's
Yeah.
very Jesus-y.
What?
he
He
he's a
acts like
YouTuber.
very Jesus-y.
Oh, so
I'm
he's a
pretty-
Gen Zer.
No, a Jesus-y guy.
Oh.
He's very Jesus-like, but he's not. He's like, I don't know. He doesn't seem very authentic all the time to me. And I would tell him that.
I
to his
like
face.
him. I mean,
I
he's
like him
always
too, but I just don't think he's totally authentic.
That's why I don't claim a religion or a faith, because I don't want to seem like I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of cope sometimes.
That's why a lot of people claim Christian, because you'll always be forgiven.
Yeah. And I noticed a lot of people virtue signaling. Seem to be like, who are you trying to
Thank
convince?
God we don't have that here, Shelby. Not even I would advocate for that or want that.
Yeah, because in Christianity, you could do whatever you want, and you'll always be forgiven.
Yeah, because already
Just
died for sin.
like I said, I don't claim a particular faith or denomination of faith, but I do have to say, and I'm not trying to disrespect any one person's faith, but I do, because I'm not trying to do that. I've been to Christian churches to where they have told me that I'm demonic because
Me too.
I have a mental health challenge. I've had people say you have Satan living in you,
It's
because they
demons.
see that I have demons living in me, because I have scars on my arms from when I used to self-harm.
I did that too.
Before mental health recovery. And
Well, I think it's just a spirit they're talking about. There's a spirit.
No,
You have,
can
I
I
mean, you
finish?
believe in spirits. I mean, you believe in the spirit of cheer, or like being a fan of something, or, having the spirit of
Also,
love, or spirits are real. I mean, they come and they
I
go.
know, but the
I don't.
thing is, I don't go to church to be told by a member that I have a demon living in me. I go to church, if I choose to go to church, to hear the word of God.
Well, the word of God is the truth. That's why it's called
I know,
the
but
good
I don't
news.
have. But the thing is, it's not up to regular members to tell me this stuff. It's up to the pastor and the elders and the deacons. It's not up to the
But you don't have to
members.
listen to it. Like anybody can say what we have free speech in America,
Yeah.
so they can tell you whatever they want. You don't have to listen
Exactly.
to them. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to internalize it. Let them tell you have a demon and just politely walk away and don't fool with them anymore. But they definitely have the right to say it. Just avoid those people.
you can be unoffendable. I can prove it. I am unoffendable. You can say, anybody can say anything to me, and unless it's true, it's not going to hurt my feelings.
I guess it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's just like, if
Annoying.
I want your opinion, I would ask for it. Just like if I
But
come.
people give their opinions all the time. I do it.
Yeah.
I do.
Americans have that right. So, like, you live in a country where people are free to express their opinion.
Yeah, we got to take the good with the bad. It's like, I think that you're great. I mean, I can only imagine like how much people have underestimated you and assumed that you're not powerful, and that's bullshit. And I want to tell you, high five.
I mean, if
Yeah.
someone told me I had a demon, I would just laugh. That's the funniest thing. I went to one church; they wanted to do an exorcist on me. I thought that was the funniest thing. I told them
Y'all
no,
crazy.
thank you, and I never went back.
I've literally like had a demon attack on me before, and I friggin' looked that motherfucker in the eyes, and I said, "If you come back, I'm gonna eat you." And I haven't seen him since.
Hell
I'm
no. You told him you was gonna eat him?
Yeah, I told him
Oh
if I
shit.
see
You definitely got a demon in your ass. You crazy.
I have an angel in me, which is the same as a demon. It's just more
That's not
neutral.
normal.
I try to stay neutral.
Oh, want to hear? Okay, totally off subject. Well, kind of on subject. So I went to the farmers market this morning, or earlier today, and I, along with myself and my friend, myself and one of my closest friends went, and I forgot to put on deodorant. My friend forgot to put on deodorant.
Oh, so y'all was some funky bitches.
How do
Damn.
you forget something like that?
Hell
Because
no.
because
I wouldn't be sharing this story if I was you.
But can
I
let
want
me
to hear it now.
finish?
I like
Just let me
It better involve a
finish.
demon.
That's just nasty.
So
I'm sorry.
so these like
This was Seattle. How would they even tell?
Yeah, true.
So I was getting this breakfast sandwich that I love getting at the farmer's market. And this dude comes up, or not this dude, this female, I call everyone dude, but this female comes up, smells my friend's armpits, and says that she has a demonic spirit living in her because of her BO. How could
I'll be like,
BO
you do now, bitch.
Damn,
That you
everybody's
have a
saying you
demon
got a
because you
demon
forgot
in
to use
you, man. I'm
deodorant?
sorry. Why everybody
See,
saying you
these
got
are
a demon in you? It
Not
seemed like
me,
more than
my
one person
friend.
said this. What the fuck is going on?
Not me and my friend. Someone came
that's hilarious.
up to my friend, smelled her armpit, and said that she had
That's
my
I
friend
think
smelled
that
her.
yeah.
So that's crazy. You and your friends is getting accused of having demons in you. That's fucked
I
up.
think it's more likely that the person telling her that she had one probably had one, if anything. But I'm not gonna. It's not my job.
But the thing is, she ended up like kind of smelling her armpit and says, "Well, I can see how you think that I have a demon in you. I would think that too since I smell
You
so
smell
bad."
like a demon. Did So you said your friend didn't use deodorant either? Like both of you were.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, the reason why I forgot to was because
If y'all don't think that's a demon, then y'all tripping, nigga. That's called the funk demon. Funky ass
you guys,
non.
can I explain, please? The reason why I
It's
forgot
just not
to is
sanitary.
you know what? My dermatologist told me to not use deodorant because I was getting
I bet you
rashes
it was a white
underneath my
person.
armpit, dude.
I bet
So
you
I
it was a
was
Well,
white
you
person.
hang on though. You said you forgot.
It was somebody
Yeah,
white that told you that.
I forgot. I forgot because, the reason why I say I forgot is because my dermatologist told me at the beginning of December to not to, and then I got the all clear this last week to put on deodorant. So I forgot to, primarily because I hadn't been using any.
Oh, okay. So you forgot to start up again.
Yeah, so like there are reasons why some people, like I was told to not do it for a month until this past week when I got a checkup for the rash underneath my armpits.
Oh, okay, so you had rashes.
Yes, which so I got the all clear, so I kind of forgot, which is like so he was just trying to determine
But
if
how
it
did you
was
get a rash from not cleaning properly? I'm still trying to understand.
he was trying to determine if it was my he was trying to determine if it was from my deodorant or if it was from my soap. It was determined that it was from my deodorant. So
you don't use the same deodorant? I use the same deodorant I've been using for a long time.
So I now have a prescription deodorant, so I won't get the rash.
That's good.
So he was trying to see like it's easier to stop using a deodorant versus a soap. It's not that hard to stop using a certain soap, but he just wanted to make, pinpoint something if it was the soap or not.
Yeah, so they had to go by one thing at a time and eliminate to see which one it was. I had to do that by myself recently because I started getting eczema whenever I would get in the shower, and it turns out it was actually metal. I had like a couple of necklaces that were like plated fake metal, like fake. It was like, yeah, and it was the metal. My skin was eating the metal off, and where it was eating the metal off, whenever I would get wet with soap, and then soap, it would get like this huge rash around my neck.
Oh shit!
Like your skin was eating the metal?
Yeah, I have very acidic skin, and I can eat the plating off of a piece of jewelry and like.
Yeah, you can't be wearing fake shit, man.
Nope.
I remember
you learned your lesson. Now you got to wear real shit.
They had this like rock.
I learned that lesson a long time ago when I was like a teenager wearing fake jewelry.
You got OG'd. Yeah, I remember they had this like rock crystal deodorant. It was a crystal you could rub under your arm.
You just got to get it wet. Whenever you get out of the shower, then you put it on, and it's like a crystal. It's like salt crystal, and you just put it on, and it totally keeps all the bacteria. Like
you can use baking soda too.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but that's interesting.
My dermatologist told me if to use baking soda during the month I wasn't using deodorant. So I'm gonna trust him on that one.
Yeah, you can make like a paste out of it. Pretty easy.
Some natural shit.
Yeah. I like to use a little bit of lavender oil because I don't think that most of the stuff that they put in deodorant is bad for you anyways. There's like aluminum and
oh yeah, I would always avoid the ones with aluminum.
Yeah.
It's really funny because like most of the time you don't really need it anyways. If your clothes are clean and if you're like outside working, it really depends on what you're eating and whether you're going to sweat out toxins that are smelly or not, and how hydrated you are, because it'll mostly process out through your kidneys and
if you're just sitting in a chair in your room in front of YouTube all day, why even bother?
This motherfucker.
I still check my. I'm fine.
like for me, I've noticed. Speaking of the water thing, I've noticed that the more water I drink, the less likely that I will need to use deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But water's so healthy.
Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting segue away from demons.
Yeah. That's a pretty funny story, though. I had somebody like come up to me once. It was like over 4 years ago. Whenever I was with one of my other boyfriends, and I remember I was like quite a bit younger than I am now. It was probably more than 20 years, closer to 30 years actually. I'm not really telling my age. I'm 7. And there was a couple of like young boys in the grocery store, and one of them like came up to me, and I guess he thought I was a nerd or something, and he was like, "Ew," like he just made this face, and I remember like being really like butthurt that like my boyfriend back then didn't say anything, but like in retrospect now, looking back at it, it's like I guess it was like it wasn't that I expected him to defend me, but I probably it would have been dumb for him to defend me because he would have just gotten into a fight with these 2 guys that probably would have hurt him. You know, it was like 2 against 1, and like if it didn't bother me, then
Do
it
women
was.
like that though, to be fought over?
I think that's a program
Yeah, they do.
thing. I think it's a
It's
thing
a
that's
natural thing, man. They want to see that. They want to see that they
I
man can
don't
handle
know.
themselves. You know.
As a matter of
But
fact,
men
I
are
got
also expendable, so it's just not good. It's not smart.
yeah. Well, I've seen guys like pull knives in front of me trying to defend me, and that pisses me off because I was handling it just fine and it wouldn't have escalated had they not like escalated it.
My God, who do y'all hang around?
Well, you can't control how somebody else is gonna act.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the unfortunate thing about being black and living in the hood. You might have a friend, you just kicking it, and this nigga do some stupid shit. You with him, and then your ass is right with it. You know what I'm saying?
In Mexico,
Now you're accomplice or
I live.
assistant to the shit. And you like, nigga, I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
like
know what I would do if I was dating someone that had to pull a knife out.
Man, one time I'll tell you something that happened. So I was out. It was like cold. It was a cold winter night. No, I'm just playing. And it was snowing outside. And my homeboy, he had a 380. It looked like a Glock. He had a 380, and we all standing outside. And he like, "Hey man," he like, "You hungry?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm hungry too, man. You know, I ain't got no money right now, but the next hype to come up here asking for something, I'm about to rob his ass." And I thought he was just playing, like joking, right? This truck came up, nigga. And this dude was like, "Hey, can I get a 20?" Something like that, right? So he opened his door, pull out the gun, and shoot in the car. And I run. And I went home. He came to the house. I was like, "Nigga, why you come over here after doing that shit?" I said, "Why you?" He's like, "Nigga, you was supposed to get in the driver, get in the passenger side and help me." I was like, "Nigga, you shot in the car. You stupid as a motherfucker." Like, nigga, I ain't asked for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Crazy
Yeah.
as a motherfucker, man.
Wow, y'all still friends?
Whose
Yeah, that was the
parents?
homie. I mean, actually,
Honestly,
I left that town a while back, but that was like when I was young. I
My
was probably like
God, I thought
18.
I ran with a rough crowd.
you know,
Yeah.
it's pretty common actually in my hood. Like, it's all cartel people, and like there was like this. There was some twins. They were like probably like 19, 20 years old, and they used to come over and buy weed every once in a while because I had plants that I grew, and it's legal now. But this kid, he would come over and, you know, we would like have conversations and stuff. And one day he came over to get some weed and sat down having a little conversation. And he was like he started talking about how he was going to go rob this old man and like possibly shoot him. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, for one, why are you telling me this? That's dumb. And for two, that's like
Yeah, people be
totally
telling
like, think
themselves that's stupid.
Yeah, why was he telling? Did he say?
Well, he thought that for some reason, I guess his parents were not very good parents because he thought that that was perfectly acceptable behavior because he wanted money and the guy had money and he didn't have any money and he felt desperate. And I was like, but think about it. Like, would you want somebody to do that to you if you were at that place? And it like took a minute for it to click in his head, but he was like, well, I guess not. But I guess he'd never even really, it hadn't crossed his mind before. And I was
That's
just like, what?
wow. That's all the kids we went out of our
Yeah.
way not to play with growing up.
Well, but see, somebody has to tell these kids because obviously their parents are not
I, like
doing
I
it.
don't I don't know anybody that didn't know by the time they got to first second grade not to go rob people at gunpoint to get money. Like that's you don't have to teach grown people this stuff.
Yeah, but when you grow up in the hood, I mean,
That's
I guess
normal. You need
I guess
money and you just go grab your gun and go to someone's house and take it. That's not normal. That's not normal on TV. That's not
but
normal and like
it,
you have to grow up very isolated somewhere for that to be normal with
well, yeah,
no counter narrative coming from
I'm
any other
the only
source.
white girl in this entire neighborhood. Everybody else is Latino, and the only reason they don't fuck with me probably is I'm a witch and they're superstitious.
I'm losing my
You know,
optimism for humanity.
I'm gonna have to agree with
Zephyr,
Zephyr,
exactly,
Zephyr. Sorry,
exactly.
on this because I I grew up in Southern California where sadly it is normal, to know at
It's also a
least
crime. Like how do you not know that crime is not normal?
because a lot of folks are taught that it is normal.
They feel justified
But
in it because
how long can you go before you encounter that reality gets challenged?
until it gets challenged and you're in jail, then I guess you
That's
just
the whole
Right,
thing.
right.
And
It,
once
it
you
yeah,
once
like
you know,
that doesn't really
but that's
fix
the
the problem.
once you know, it's already you're a creature of habit. That's something you already
Yeah.
been brought up in. I mean, and then you defend it. Have you seen The Godfather?
no, I have never have.
I have
Okay, so let me give you a short synopsis. Basically,
Just
four
don't
or five.
spoil it.
okay, I'll say this. I'll say this much. Um, the younger kid took over the family business, and it wasn't um his thing. You know, he didn't want to be a part of the family business. You know, but when he took over that role, think there's certain things that come with that. You know what I mean? So
But they were criminal, right? Like this is all criminal activity, and to me, people that are doing crimes know it's something not supposed to be doing.
right, but at the end of the day, that's what's feeding you. So you could say that, but
Hmm.
when it's feeding you and that's
There's
how
other
you
ways
eat,
to get fed.
Yeah,
that
as
may be true, but
our
you're not understanding what I'm saying. If it's actually feeding you, so if let's say you're hungry as a motherfucker, right? And then you eat off of that, and that's how you've been eating for 3 months. You can say that type of judgment right now because you haven't been through that type of process in life.
I've
yeah,
never been so hungry that I've thought about grabbing a gun and robbing somebody.
Well,
It's
I'm not saying that type of crime, but there's a lot of other crime other than grabbing a gun.
it, it's like, for example, I was 11 years old when my brother was born. We have the same mom, different dads. And I was lucky that my dad got custody of me. So whenever I came up here to visit my mom in Olympia, there were times when I sadly had to go to the store at 12, 13 years old to feed my toddler brother because my mom was too high or too drunk to even care to go shopping, and I didn't have access to her bank card or checkbook to have her sign a check. So
yeah,
so there are times where people literally, like myself, I'm not joking, I would literally, when I came up here, I would sell lemonade, and I would also like do yard work to be able to get money to pay for food for my little brother.
That's good. Selling lemonade is great, and
But
all that other
but
stuff. Did
but
you shoplift? Did you go and steal the food?
but there have been times where I needed to shoplift to steal the baby formula when he was
No, no.
still in.
That's
I mean,
oh
I
my
mean,
god.
what was I supposed to do?
First of all,
At
that's your mom's responsibility. So you need to get
but
somebody in there to take care of your mom, and like
But
You
but
did
the thing
have
is, I was
This shit
the
don't work
11.
like that, nigga. You know that. Stop it.
I don't know this. I'm
This
trying
nigga
to
serious. This
imagine
nigga
that
acting like it's
situation.
just easy as a motherfucker to do this and that. No, it don't work
I
like
was
that.
11 years. I was 11 years old when my brother was born. What the hell was I supposed to do?
you
not,
did
I
Well,
was.
you thought
You
enough to
sound
sell
judgmental,
lemonade and do all
man.
that other stuff. So
But
you
you
were
know how much?
resourceful and enterprising enough to think of that.
it's
Yeah,
expensive.
but
But
the
my
thing
whole
is,
thing is, wait. Let me say this. You over there broke as hell, sir. That's what I mean. Like, you ain't got no drive or ambition. These people is not about to sit there broke, and you will. That's the difference between them and you.
It's just you
me
when it's
or Jeff?
different.
But
Who are you
my
talking?
ambition doesn't lead me to do crime.
But
Like,
what I'm saying is, okay,
Top of
but
the hour.
it should I get at least give you ambition to get your ass up and make some money, and not say I'm looking to make some income, but you should be making some
yeah,
income.
no, I don't have a problem there. I have plenty of ambition, but none of that. I would never shoplift or rob somebody at gunpoint. So that's
I
what I'm
mean,
trying.
you
Like,
keep
if
saying
you
what
have
you'll
the
never
ability
do.
to think to sell lemonade,
You
why
keep
do you
saying
need to
what you'll never do.
shoplift?
We don't know
Because
what you'll do.
At gunpoint.
Well,
because
I haven't yet. So I think my history proves out that
I mean, I guess what I'm
But
saying
that
is,
doesn't say anything about your future. We don't know what the
that's
future
just not.
holds.
My mind doesn't work that way. Like, I've never been in
I
a situation where I've had to think about using a gun to commit a
And it-
crime.
but I never used the gun though. I never used the gun.
No,
A lot of white
I'm
boys
talking
do.
about him. But you, like, even shoplift, I've never once ever even entertained the thought of, oh, I'm so poor and desperate I have to steal this thing. There's not some other way to get it.
I mean, the thing is, like
can't
when you're
say.
11
I
years
mean,
old
that's the
and you're
position you're in, though. I mean, where you live right now?
me,
No, him.
oh,
I'm up in Washington State,
Okay,
outside of
so who do
Seattle.
you live with?
Huh?
Who do you live with?
I live with me. I have a roommate.
Okay, so
I didn't know you had a
there,
roommate.
yeah, so there you go. I mean,
That's
I
cool.
mean, and the thing is, like back then, food banks wouldn't allow minors to get food for their family,
Which is ridiculous.
which was ridiculous. So, I mean, there's only so much $30 could go for food.
You did good.
But first of all, it's like, as an 11-year-old, it's not my responsibility to feed my brother. I would go get some adults, and if my brother's not getting fed, I would get some adults involved very quickly. And
You would know
there's
what
got
you
to be. That's probably what I would do. Is I would network with as
But
many adults as possible and get other people involved in the problem, so that I wouldn't be the one responsible for making sure my baby
next
brother
thing
was fed.
you get taken to child haven and separated from your siblings, and yeah, I don't think
but
that.
I
That
do have to.
maybe that would have been better.
But the thing is, when I was, I love my mom. I miss my mom. I wish she was still alive, and I'm glad that when she passed away, that she was in recovery. But she was not in recovery, and other people in her life at the time were not safe. So when I got back home to California with my dad, I told my grandma, who ended up calling CPS, and my brother ended up in foster care because his dad was nowhere to be found, and my mom was too addicted to know what to even feed herself, much less go take a shit in the toilet. So I had so considering what I had to live with in that particular time, I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah,
Well,
he did.
eventually he was able to get out of that situation and
Yeah,
get
and
formula.
because of that, my mom ended up in recovery. But and I agree, an 11-year-old, 11, 12, 13-year-old shouldn't have to think about that stuff. But there are kids out there that are 5, 6, 7 years old that are having to think about that stuff for their little for their younger siblings. It's a reality that some of these little kids, 5, 6, 7 years old, are having to go shoplift to feed themselves and their younger siblings.
They don't. I still say they don't have to shoplift. That's still something
But
they're
if there's no,
decided to do, whether it's from lack of imagination to think of other options or sell lemonade or something, but they're still making the decision. And they even at 5 or 6, they probably know there's a risk to doing it because it's not something you're supposed to do. So they're taking a risk consciously by doing that, as I'm sure you were too.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the universe loves you. You didn't get in trouble, and you were able to feed your brother. So, I think
I mean,
that's. I think you did good. Honestly,
I
I mean,
mean,
I hope you don't feel guilty for stealing because that. Yeah, I don't think you should have to feel guilty for that at all.
I mean,
No, I'm
well,
not trying to guilt you. I'm just trying to
you know,
understand how
I mean, like
someone even ends up there.
sometimes there aren't safe adults, especially during the summer and holiday breaks. Sometimes there aren't safe adults around.
Yeah, and then the kids that usually would have meals at school don't have meals at home. Things they have to just like
Well,
really adapt
hopefully
to.
those situations are rare, and I think there's always safe adults somewhere if you look hard enough. Like there may not be a safe adult in the immediate home, but there are plenty of adults around to find a safe one eventually.
Child Protective Services isn't necessarily a safe thing alternative either. I mean, I've seen kids go through CPS and go into foster homes that are just as unsafe. That
I,
people are just using them to get their check.
But at
and
least with that, there's like some system of accountability and
Not always.
regulation over them.
sadly, that system doesn't always work.
Yeah,
But it's
Thankfully,
there. Whether like it's there in a way that it's not there for situations like your family, where it was just your mom.
um, but but on that note, my brother's foster mom was amazing. Um, and
good.
thank you, Shelby. But like I guess for me, like 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 I'm gonna use an example of so when I worked at Safeway as a bagger, I saw probably a young teenager with his two younger siblings, and he had one of his parents credit cards, debit card, or whatever, and he went through the check stand I was bagging at, and it just so happened to be one of the sweetest checkers there was. And you know what this checker did? He told the kid to not use the card. The checker gave me money out of his pocket, which ended up being $100 bill. And when he did that, I dropped it and cleared my throat, and this teenage 13, 14-year-old boy, and pointed, he picked it up and used the $100 bill.
Why didn't he just hand it to him? Like, why even go through that charade?
Because we're not allowed, because Safeway employees aren't allowed to do it. Policies
Oh,
and
so he was
procedures.
breaking the
Yeah,
Safeway rules, and
yeah,
they had a checker at Safeway walking around with $100 in his pocket.
yeah. And
Oh.
not in his pocket, but in his wallet. But yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend that I actually ended up being really good friends with. That whenever I was working at Walmart, I like saw him shoplifting. He was like living on the street and he was like on drugs, but he ended up being a good friend of mine, and I like ended up having to drop him off at his probation officer once whenever he was totally friggin' drugged out of his mind. But he accepted that from me because I was his friend, and You know, sometimes you got to do hard things like that. But whenever I was working at Walmart, I didn't tell on him because it was like I could see his situation was pretty bad, and you know, corporations, if you don't steal from them, they're stealing from you. Sometimes I think, I don't know. I ended up quitting that job.
Well, I heard Walmart's. I don't know how true this is, but I hear a lot of not so good things about working at Walmart.
Yeah, the manager that I had, that was there's like managers over departments, and then there's like managers over several departments that are like the main, like they're like middle man or upper middle management, I guess. And there was one that was like pretty bad sexual harasser, and I like complained about it many times and never got any sort of leeway. And then whenever it came up to the manager was leaving to go to a different store, and I was like just a few days shy, maybe a week shy of being past my probationary period to where I would be eligible for promotion. And instead of like stepping past that policy, which they could have done, even though the manager that was leaving recommended me to be the next manager, he promoted some girl that he was getting blowjobs from that worked in the fabrics department that didn't know anything about pets, didn't know anything about backstock. It was just like, so I just like zoned my area one night, and they didn't even know that I was gone until I didn't show up for my next shift.
What would they say when you would report him?
They would take the complaint and nothing would ever happen. It just seemed like it just didn't go anywhere.
But was there? Did you follow up on it? Was there?
I did, but you can only go so high. You're only supposed to go to the next
No,
level.
there's always a higher.
They said the protocol was you go to the person directly above you. You don't skip steps.
I don't care about protocol because there's always a higher. There's always avenues to take. I'm just curious what their response was, like what they would tell you.
Responsible for rehire whenever I came to pick up my paycheck, but I was like, no, thank you. I already had another job. Is that the strip club?
Because when if I made a complaint, I would be like, okay, what happens from here? What can I expect? And then they would tell me, well, we're gonna investigate. We'll let you know at such and such a deadline or whatever. If it doesn't happen, I go to them and I'm like, okay, I'm following up on this thing. This is what you said you were gonna do. Did you do it? What was the outcome, etc.
There's complaints from other people too, and they had not had any forward sort of motion. I probably if I had been a little older and wiser, maybe I could have like sued them or something with other people. But at that point, I was just like, I'm just done with this corporation bullshit.
I know one time I was sent home within an hour of my shift from Safeway because the front end manager was telling me one thing, and the person, the PIC or person in charge, was telling me one thing, but I was informed by by a lot of other store managers that since I'm front end, to do front end stuff according to the front end manager, and I didn't realize the PIC had been promoted to second assistant manager. So the first assistant manager was still there working off the clock, even though he was salaried. And I was literally, the first assistant manager told me to go home, and I'm like, I am just, I said, I'm trying to clarify for my disability. Do you want me to get carts first, or do you want me to do the trash first? Because the trash was overflowing and there were no carts. And so I was trying to clarify, and he told me to go home. And so I did not get paid. I didn't even get paid for that hour. I obviously called the union. And surprisingly, I was able to get somebody because it was Memorial Day weekend. The store manager came back. I explained to what he was saying, and and then then the morning checker who happened to be filling in for somebody had, was a witness to this and said, hey, Brooke, Brooke, Brooke was trying to clarify on what she was supposed to be doing. 2 customers had come in within the first 2 hours within my first 2 hours of starting my shift on Memorial Day, saying, hey, this is what we heard. A couple of other colleagues that were there working when I got sent home had come in. One of them on their day off, who lived in Marysville at the time, had drove all the way from Marysville just to talk to the manager. And the union rep came in on Memorial Day to talk with the manager. Needless to say, I ended up getting triple time. The store ended up losing money because they had to pay me triple to pay for my hours.
Yeah, I was going to say they owe you for that hour. There's
Unions
no
are
way around that.
But the thing is, I instead of getting regular pay, I got paid triple pay
Well,
because
good.
of their
But why
mistake.
did they send you home? Did they say?
They said I was being insubordinate.
Oh.
Yeah, they just didn't want to deal with you because they're
but the thing is, if I didn't say that, if I didn't say that I need clarification for my disability, I probably would not have gotten the triple pay. And
But
and you know why
you played the
Safeway was
disability card is what you did, because any normal employee, that's a perfectly normal question to ask from anybody. Do you want me to do the trash first or take in carts? That really has nothing to do with the disability. So, but did you get fired, or was it just for that one day?
I didn't get fired.
So you got to come back after that.
Yeah. I didn't get fired. I didn't get a verbal reprimand. I didn't get I didn't get.
And they specifically said it was for insubordination? Oh.
I didn't realize, they didn't tell me why I went home, but the manager called the first assistant manager, and the first assistant manager said, yeah, I sent her home because of insubordination. And the manager asked, did you tell her that? And he said, surprisingly, he was honest and said, no, I did not.
I mean, I don't even think he has to. He could just tell you to go home. They cut people all the time. It's
they
so,
usually protocols where they're supposed to have you talk to you and give you you have a warning, where you have a write-up of insubordination or something, and maybe they give you a day off or something as a punishment.
it depends on the workplace, because even the ones I've been in, some that even had those policies and they didn't even use them for me. They just went straight to firing.
Yeah, we did that with a lady that was about to retire after 20 years being in the bakery whenever I worked at Rayleigh's. And she ended up getting a lot of money from them too, because it was wrongful firing. Unions are good people. That's grocery
Mine
stores.
didn't do shit for me.
Yeah. They're generally, but you do have to speak up for yourself.
But in Jeff's instance, Jeff did speak up for himself, because I know what employer he's talking about, and sadly,
yeah,
that employer.
I wish that we had unions.
Well, it was a dysfunctional workplace anyway. Like when I get fired from a dysfunctional workplace, which is the only type I've ever been fired from, I'm relieved, because I probably didn't realize it was that level of dysfunction to begin with. And the fact that I got fired is what woke me up to the fact that I should not have been there in the first place.
Yeah, I always quit a job before it
Me
got
too.
to that.
I quit or get fired every time.
Yeah. I don't think I've only been fired once, and it was from Payless, and it was right after I started working there. And I think it was just because they changed their mind because there was somebody there that didn't like me or something. And I like one of the dates on my application for my past history wasn't exactly right. So they said that was the reason, and that's a stupid reason.
Oh, so they were like trying to find a reason
Yeah, they were looking for like the slightest
because
mistake
they don't
that
want a
they,
lawsuit.
yeah, exactly.
And speaking of a lawsuit, I think that's why Safeway agreed to pay me triple for the hours, was so I wouldn't sue them.
Yeah. Because you could have, and you would have had the union's support to do that if they hadn't.
And the union would have probably provided a lawyer for me.
That's what they're good for.
What would you have sued them over? Like they have the right to send you home.
Discrimination.
Discrimination because I use my disability.
Yeah, but you'd have to prove that's why they were sending you home. Just because you say the word disability is not an automatic free pass for anything. You still have to prove that they were discriminating against you specifically because of your disability.
But
and they said insubordination, so they even have the right to send employees home for insubordination.
But they didn't. But per the union contract, they have to tell you you're being sent home for insubordination, and they didn't tell me that. They just told me I needed to clock out, and I didn't even get paid for that 1 hour that I was 1 hour. So I could have.
Right. Well, they paid you for that, so you got that. But what was, according to the union contract, if they don't tell you the reason for being sent home, what's the consequence? Like, what happens to them?
The employee would get 100% backing from the union, and a potential I don't remember exactly everything, but like potentially being able to have the store employees vote on walking out. Kind of
No
like
one's going to strike over being sent home after 1 hour. Like, even if you sued them, what were your damages for just being sent home? Other than with the hour they paid you for.
They didn't even pay me for that hour.
I thought you said they paid you 3 times. What?
No, because I was trying to clarify, they ended up paying me 3 times the amount I was supposed to be paid.
So you eventually got paid for that hour, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, even if you sued them, what would your damages have even been?
I don't know.
All they did was send you home after an hour.
I don't know. But I do know I got like, all I know is I was scheduled to work literally 9 hours, and one of those hours was overtime, so they didn't like it. I mean, like, I'm only going by what the union said. I could have sued them, but I didn't want to. I mean, because all I wanted was the reasoning why I was being sent home and potentially being able to get paid for my entire shift.
Because they sent you home wrongfully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't tell her why, so she doesn't even know why she got sent home. But if there's some kind of contract that requires them to give a reason, and they didn't.
Yeah. And the thing is, I did not find out why I was sent home until my next shift, when the manager had come back from vacation,
and they told you then it was for insubordination.
And they told me then, and the first assistant manager on the phone had said, "Yeah, I forgot to." So.
Yeah, I probably would just quit.
But that first assistant manager ended up getting fired about 2 to 3 years later for discriminating against many other people with disabilities.
But we don't know that's what this is in this case.
Well, true. But customers and other employees viewed it as disability
That doesn't mean
discrimination.
that's what that manager was doing in his head.
I'm
Yeah, it doesn't look good though.
I agree with Zephyr. He probably just didn't want to fool with you that day.
yeah.
But that's not necessarily because of your disability.
Yeah. But he was also working off the clock, so I could have been just as cruel and say, well, it's against
I thought you said he was salaried. There's no off the clock if you're salaried.
Well, you still
yeah,
have to
but
clock
you can't work you can't work off the if you're unless there's an actual store emergency, even if you're a salaried manager, you can't work off the clock unless it's an actual true emergency. Like,
But if what does off the clock mean if it's salary though?
meaning they still have to
I
clock
thought
in
salary they can use you when they need you. There's no clock.
Nah.
What do you mean? Because I know plenty of people that work salary, and they
No, I've worked salary, but yeah.
there's not hourly. They clock in when they need them, and they clock out when they're done, when they don't need them anymore.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
So he wasn't clocked in. Is that what it means? I understand they have to clock in and out, but like he was
Yeah,
at the store, but he wasn't clocked in.
Yeah, he had officially clocked out, and you can't.
Well, then why was he still trying to do work?
have to ask him.
Yeah, that just
probably.
sounds dumb. If he's not even on the clock, and he's
I
telling
didn't-
you to go home, why would
But I didn't know
something about this story is there's my sensors are going off.
But I didn't know he was off the clock though.
How did you find out?
I later found out from the union rep.
How did the union rep find out?
I don't know because I didn't think about asking her.
So when it happened, you just assumed he was the manager and
On
sending
duty,
you home.
Yeah. Not realizing that the PIC was the manager on duty because he had been promoted to second assistant manager. So
I had to have been there. There's details in this story that are not adding up for me. Were there other managers around that you could have gone to and said, "Hey, this dude's sending me home. Are you sure that's what you want me to do?"
The store manager was on vacation, so I couldn't even call him.
So he was the only authority figure in the store that day. But if he was off the clock and there was no one else around, who was managing the store?
Like I said, the person in charge who had been promoted to second assistant.
So they were there as well?
Yeah, and the second.
But you didn't know they were manager.
Yeah.
But if you had known, you could have gone to them and verified whether they wanted you to go home or not.
He was the one who told the first assistant manager that I was being insubordinate, and the first assistant manager was the one that told me to go home.
Oh, so there were two. See, the story's already changed. There was another person involved that told him to send you home. So it wasn't even this one guy making the decision. Yeah. So the manager the one that was on the clock, that was in charge, is the one that made the decision to send you home. He was just the messenger.
I just did not. But the thing is, I didn't know that the person who made the decision had that authority to do that. Because
did that person tell you, or it only came from this one guy? So when that day, it was this one guy coming to you saying go home, and he was the manager as far as you knew, and you had no idea of whether he was off the clock or either. So from your point of view, it was a legitimate manager telling you to go home.
Exactly.
Which it more or less was, because the person that decided they wanted you to go home was a legitimate manager on the clock.
Yeah, but I didn't know that because he had just been promoted the day before, and it was
right. But you didn't. Even if you did know that, you didn't know he was the one that gave the order anyway.
Yeah. And so
So it was basically just a manager telling you to go home, which is exactly what it turned out to be.
yeah. But I was clarifying something like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So, but
Probably just
but
stressed
but
out.
Yeah, I don't think you did anything wrong. I don't think asking if they want they want you to do the trash or the carts first was anything to be sent home over. Nor do I think it was insubordinate.
Mm-mm. But I'm glad that you got like some compensation for it. It was a good thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
hi.
glad they paid you for that hour too.
No,
You
no,
want to
I
know-
actually got paid for the entire 9 hours that I was scheduled for.
So you were scheduled for 9, and you had only been there 1 hour when this happened, but you
Yeah.
got paid for the whole. Oh wow, yeah, you really made
Yeah.
out.
And I got tripled those 9 hours, and one of those 9 hours, the last hour of the 9 hours was overtime because it was above 8 hours. So,
Wow.
Yeah. I tried to get NPC to nominate you as on his awards show, but Jeff.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, they're doing the. In fact, did it already happen? They're doing the panel awards, and
Yeah. I voted for
the,
TML.
who got panel hopper?
I
Was
don't
it
know. I
Hank?
didn't see any other vote options.
Hang on, who's that was NPC? Let me. I know he was showing it today. Let me see if they
Yeah, I hope
released
they
the
get
results yet.
other like questions because I only voted for like the main event.
Wait,
I
where
guess.
is? Oh, streamer. Oh, it hasn't started yet. It starts in 2 hours. Here,
Cool.
I'm gonna drop the link. In 2 hours, they're doing the panel awards, and they have the nominees. Oh, actually,
can you, okay, sorry, but like, what are the panel awards kind of like the Grammy Awards or
I
something?
guess live streamer awards. Actually, they're called. Yeah, I guess kind of.
Okay. I mean,
And
obviously not as big, but
here's the
just
nominees.
and when you said panel hopper, does that mean like someone who hops from panel to panel to panel to panel?
Like me.
Just
I do
people
that.
that go to a lot of panels. They're as guests. Um, so, and then the audience can nominate best live stream. So the nominations for the audience um, vote is Flow State, Mel Pandora, The Machine Lies, and Glenn Lawrence. You voted for TML?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
And
vote because honestly, it's hard to choose between a lot of these.
yeah, it was a close one. I mean, I like Mel, but I'm not as familiar with her. But I would have probably. I mean, it it would have been an even harder decision if you had been up because I like Flow State, I like you, I like TML, like, and Glenn Lawrence is okay, I guess, but I don't know.
I like Glenn Lawrence. I like what I've seen him. I've never tried to go on one of his panels, so I don't have that side of it to
They
evaluate.
get
But
like
the
wrestler.
content, I think, is it's center a lot of it's centered around men's issues.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I also like to go challenge it because, like, I think that there is very little women representation there that isn't like totally like on board with the masculine.
Oh yeah, y'all do need to go
I do go there.
give that counter voice. And Zephyr tried to get me nominated, but the argument was that I don't have the same numbers and level of success as the rest of them, and they're right. I don't. I think I am not at the level of streamer award yet. So maybe
I don't know.
next year.
You had
You know,
just
like,
as interaction in your panels or in your chats, I think, as some of the others. But I think NPC should have been nominated too. But I guess if he's handling the whole thing, he couldn't. And I like Wrestler. I think Wrestler is a good talk
Yeah,
show.
wrestler.
you know, like, as someone who only comes to one panel, and if I would have known about this, like the panel awards, I probably wouldn't have voted because I'm not going to vote for somebody or anybody that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. So, some of it, those of us that have been spending the last few years here know a lot of the nominees, but someone who does it, it's not really going to mean anything outside of this niche.
I like. I hope Tough Guy is not mad at me.
Who cares?
No.
I'm sure he's fine.
Okay.
He knows how panel YouTube works. I doubt he's even gonna think
Okay.
much about this after he moves on to the next panel.
I would hope with a name like Tough Guy, he would be fragile.
Yeah.
You know how many fragile people I know?
Yeah.
You know what he'd probably say is that's just like a woman to worry if a man is mad at her or not.
Be fine with that. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
You know, he probably would say that but I don't know him that well, so.
He seemed like a cool guy.
But I would worry even if Zephyr would be mad at me, so it doesn't matter what the gender would be.
I never worry if people are mad at me. I could care. If they're mad at me,
never worry. I would never be mad at you.
Let them be. They're adults. They could decide who to be mad at or not.
I would talk
unless it's like a really close friend and they're mad at me over something that I don't understand what happened and it's affecting the friendship. But if it's just a random YouTube person or a panelist or a chatter,
I think if you were close,
if they want to talk about it, they know I'm up for talking about it. So if they want to be mad, they can decide what to do about it from there.
Speaking of people being mad, like Mr. Cord, surprisingly, about 60 to 70% of the people who ask, "Are you mad at?" who ask me if I'm mad at them, are usually male.
I don't believe that.
Because they know if I'm mad at them. Because I tell them. Hey,
unless well, you may be talking about Seattle men. If you're talking about Seattle men, yeah, I agree.
All of them happen to have grown up in the area, so yes.
Yeah, they're pretty whipped up here.
My youngest lives in Olympia.
Where do you live?
I live in Albuquerque.
Okay. Okay. Wait, Mr. Cord, are you the one that lives in the Seattle area, or am I?
That's Joe. He was on the panel earlier.
Joe. Okay.
I like Joe, and I'm not just saying that. He's a good guy.
But have you met Cool Joe? I bet if you did the taste test and compared Cool Joe to normal Joe, ordinary Joe, milk toast Joe,
flirting with me.
I almost guarantee you would prefer Cool Joe. I'm encouraging him to let Cool Joe out more.
I agree.
But see, Joe, even without Cool Joe, people like you.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? You could come and hang out as long as you're like respectful. No, like close, like space invading type creepy flirting. I don't mind a little normal flirting.
Wait, oh my god. I was just showing my Pepsi bottle. Is that infringement issues right there?
I don't think so. In fact, it might even get us a sponsorship for Pepsi. It's product placement.
I'm like looking around. Oh, this is what I'm drinking. I'm like.
What about my bro voice? I don't have bro. I tried that the other day. Everybody confirmed that it sounded as stupid as I said it did.
Wait, what is the bro voice?
Yeah, let's see it. Hear it.
Well, but here's the thing, Colt. Here's the thing. Joe has a Cool Joe in him that he doesn't let us see, but it's in him. I don't have a cool. What you see is what is in me. I don't have a Cool Jeff that I'm hiding away and I'm just not letting you see it. I show you everything that's in me. So if you're not seeing a Cool Jeff, it's because there's not one in there to begin with. But I know for a fact Joe has a Cool Joe in him because he lets us see it every now and then.
You know what? But the thing is, I think you're cool, Jeff. Just because of how you are. So you do have a cool Jeff. It's just everybody sees it all the time.
Oh, well, yeah, this is the cool Jeff. You're seeing it. That's what she's saying. So if this is not cool enough for you, that's all I got.
You're the coolest Satanist that I know for sure.
Someone told me that I should leverage that in my job search and be the cool.
I don't know about
Brooke,
that
remember that
sweater being cool,
BDSM
but I like
support group we
the
did
red
during
and
the back
blacks
porch that
shirt.
caused all that
Wait,
controversy?
wait, say that again.
Remember that BDSM support group we did during during COVID that caused all that controversy? Someone told me I should put that on my resume because it gives me like cool factor points, and I should put myself out there as like the kinky Satanist and actually leverage that identity as part of my job search.
Okay, I like that idea.
And
If
that
it helps you.
especially like it would give me woke points, it would give me marginalized population points. So I'm gonna try it. I am gonna put it on my resume as volunteer experience. And for those
I
that don't know, during COVID, one of the groups that I created and led was a support group for people that experience trauma from BDSM, like BDSM specific trauma, and they advised me to put that on my resume as part of my volunteer experience. So I'm going to try it and see what happens.
was it Beverly that suggested that? Yeah.
Well, we kind of came up with it together, and then that's the
Okay.
one that it it kind of split the group because some people saw they associate BDSM with trauma and abuse, and they saw it as perpetuating trauma and abuse. But and so they left the group, but the people we gained from doing the group more than made up for the few people that we lost from doing the group.
The
I don't have a
the
gimp suit actually. I have a collar.
the
I
thing
got
that
photos of me with a
And
ball gag.
y'all seen my little bondage cuffs that I wear.
but the thing that gets me is especially with folks who are Gen X that get so like I trust me, I understand trauma. Like I have some trauma. I'm not going to share my trauma stories, but I've got some very intense trauma stories. But that won't have me get upset because of people wanting and needing a BDS. I can't pronounce it, but a kink support group because everyone needs support for different things. Does that make sense?
Well, it made sense to me even then. But and remember, we put it on our website. We had a website, and we listed all the groups and activities that we offered, and it said BDSM support group this day, this time, and some people freaked out just seeing the letters BDSM associated with our project, and they were worried that other people would see that and associate the entire support group, the entire community with trauma because it had this one little on the calendar. It had this one little BDSM support group. So that's what the controversy was about. And these were the woke people. These were the same people that were freaking out because we were talking about Christmas carols during Christmas. And they said, what if some Muslim people come in and hear you talking about Christmas carols and they're going to be offended?
Ugh, please.
I said, it's Christmas. I'm not going to not talk about Christmas carols during Christmas. If they're offended by that, this is not the group for them. If somebody's offended by seeing the 4 letters BDSM on a calendar, this is not the group for them.
Yeah, I would just say my toes are too pointed for tiptoeing on eggs. Sorry.
I'm not going to not offer trauma support to people that need it because somebody gets offended for seeing it on a calendar.
Yeah, offense is like given, taken. I mean, not given.
And the thing is, you'll be surprised on how many Muslim people aren't offended by
Yeah.
talking about Christmas carols.
I don't care. I'm not here to babysit. If you're offended by something, then go find another group.
No,
I'm
no, no,
not
no,
here to.
no. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying most Muslims that I know aren't offended by Christmas carols.
Yeah, me
That's what
too.
I'm
That's the
saying.
first time I even heard the suggestion that a Muslim might even be offended was when that lady said it that day. But before that, I don't even know a Muslim that has ever said anything about a Christmas carol. That was a woke Karen trying to look for ways to get a foothold in and control and micromanage what we were doing.
Well, I gotta get up and move around, so I think I'm gonna dip out, guys. Thanks for the chat.
Okay, sounds good. Good chatting as always. I hope you do
I got
something fun tonight.
from sitting on
Are
my
you
butt.
watching the panel awards later?
Maybe I might. I don't know. Probably. Got nothing else to do other than maybe some art, but I do that while I'm on the panel usually, anyways. So.
Well, let me see who's streaming now. Provo's streaming. Sasquatch is streaming. Cheesehead streaming. He doesn't stream
Guys
very
want to see
often, so
some
you could check him out.
of my
Glenn
art
Lawrence,
before?
James Life Talk. Oh my God, there's just a ton of people out tonight. OTW. Yeah, y'all just have to find your own panel. There's too many.
I did these
Those
ones
are awesome.
last
Wow, wait,
night.
hang on. Let me. You
Oh,
made
yeah?
those?
Yeah, they're like little scratch boards.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
you buy the. It just comes black, and then you scratch it yourself.
Yeah, and then the outline.
So wait, do you design it ahead of time, or this is all just
It's
freehand?
freehand.
Are you
And I have a bunch of,
serious?
yeah, I even made like some, and then this is like a little painting that I did the other day. It's another eye.
Oh my God!
And this one blows.
Wow,
It's pretty cool.
you are so creative. I love,
And
man.
I
Okay,
did some,
when I get some real money, I will even buy some of that from you. I want.
awesome. I
There's.
love that.
It's very rare
But
that I see art that I actually want to purchase.
I did some that are, somebody was saying women should be seen and not heard. So I made a bunch of like little word responses so I could sit here with mute on and I could still respond. Like, and while I'm on panel with these guys that are like being dicks, basically, like trying to stifle my
Why are you
expression.
stifling? You just said you wanted to go in Glenn
No,
Lawrence and.
I'm just
Oh.
showing them that it's impossible to stifle me, but I can play by their rules and not be stifled.
All you gotta do is open your mouth and talk. I've never found it that hard
But
to
if
speak
nobody's
up or
gonna
speak one's
listen,
mind.
if nobody's going to listen, they'll pay attention if I do by their rules. So
Oh,
it's
so
kind of like,
you actually have the goal of trying to get it. You
yeah.
can't
So
force people to listen. All you can do is
no,
put it out
exactly.
there.
That's why I said if they'll let me up on panel and they want to tell me to shut up, I can be quiet and still express myself because I made all these words. It's like yes, no, are you sure? Why not? All these different ones, and I can just
Hank
hold them
does
up.
that too.
Yeah, I love. I need to laminate mine. It's impressive how he has his own laminator. But mine are very creative. My words, his are just like printouts, but they're laminated, which is good.
But the thing is, you can still be creative with printouts too.
You can,
I think,
and Hank is like he's pretty good at his creativity.
Yeah, he has all these signs he printed out and laminated that he can hold up
He has all his hats. And
different situations.
it's he's got a good character going.
hey, Jack.
Yeah, like his sex hat. I know. Do you know which color his sex hat is? The black one, apparently.
Hey, Jack. Out of curiosity, is your eye tattoo a tramp stamp? I only ask because I know a lot of people who have eye tattoos as tramp stamps.
He says on his back. Oh, you mean is that considered the back? The tramp area?
No, tramp. Sorry, tramp stamps are usually like right here.
Right.
So that's why I was asking.
Okay. What are you reading, Mike? have eyes in the center of my back. I have eyes in the back of my back. Oh, at the shoulder blade. Cool.
Okay. So it's not a tramp stamp.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't. I can't think of anything permanent enough that I would want on me. I, oh yeah, and you you talked about your reasons for having
Yeah.
that one, and
I
that would
also
make
have
sense.
I also have a butterfly on my shoulder. And I wanted the butterfly to be my first tattoo, but I couldn't find one that I wanted permanently until after I got this one. But for me, the butterfly resembles hope, and that it is possible to get out of dark places, because to become a butterfly, you have, for the caterpillar to become a butterfly, it has to go through a lot of grungy, thank you,
Nasty, like a grungy slime worm.
grungy, slimy, dark place in their life. So it's just like it helps serve as a reminder of, like, I can get through anything in my life, and that there is hope.
And, and until you fly into the butterfly net and you end up in the formaldehyde jar and then on a board with pins through you. But I guess that's the fate of all of us. Plus, tattoos are ugly, but I don't find tattoos attractive. Like, guys with tattoos turn me off. Hey, Puffy. What's up? Well, you have anything else on your mind?
No, are you going to end for the day?
Um, yeah, I could if there's
No,
nothing
I'm
else
just
to talk about.
curious. Are you going to be on later at all?
I never know. I never plan to stream in the evening. If I do, they're very spontaneous, and I do it vertically from my phone. I don't do the laptop streams because YouTube has a different algorithm or audience they feed you to if you stream vertically because they're trying to compete with TikTok.
Okay.
But I only do those every now and then, maybe once or twice a week, if that. And then tomorrow I usually take Sunday off. Oh, right, I forgot. I might get a McDonald's. If I got a tattoo, it'd probably be the McDonald's fries. And then, so Monday is the next time I'll be out for certain. Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. I'm going to continue with that series on myths and stories. And then we'll do an open panel.
Hey, I got a silly question. Not a silly question, but do you want to arrange a time to do the mall thing?
Yes, I thought we talked about doing it today, and I looked out the window and it's cold and rainy, and I was thinking, I'm so glad we didn't pick today to do that mall. So I think a better thing to do might be either keep an eye on the weather, or one day when we wake up and it's sunny, we know that it's sunny. Just message me that day and say, hey, it's sunny outside. Do you want to try to go to the mall? Because if we plan it around the weather, it's going to be a lot easier to accomplish.
Okay.
Because if we had planned it today, I probably would have canceled just from the weather.
I probably would have canceled for the weather too.
I am excited to stream from the mall and see what the modern wall looks like. Brooke and I had this idea to go to the local mall in person and stream from the mall and see if they're ghost towns or if people still use the mall. I'm interested myself. I haven't been to a mall in years and years and years, and they closed the one in Seattle that I used to go to. So we're going to give a mall update at some point.
Yeah, and it's relatively easy for both of us to get to that mall.
You
And
said
when I mean,
it's the Alderwood one because
yeah.
Everett has a mall too.
Oh, I was thinking about Alderwood because that one would
That's the one in
probably,
Linwood.
yeah, because that one would probably be easier for me to get to
All right,
via
let me
public.
check. I'm checking the directions right now.
I know. So I know for me, I can take the light rail to the I know I can take the light rail, you know, from my neighborhood to Linwood, and then take a short bus ride to the Alderwood Mall.
Let's see. On weekdays they have. Oh Lord, that seems. They have a bus that goes more or less straight there, but on the weekends, let's see it. Well, I don't know why they're. Oh, I think it's probably doable.
If it's not
Yeah, there's
doable,
several different ways I can get there. It involves 2 or 3 buses, but
it,
um,
it, it, if it's not doable, then we can do the Everett Mall, and I can easily still go to the Linwood Park and Ride and just take a lift from there.
I want to go to the one that we think is gonna be the most mall. Like, which one is more of a mall that would
I've
show
never
us?
I've never been to the Everett Mall, but I suspect the Alderwood Mall would probably be the better mall, or
Okay,
either
let's
that
let's plan on that one.
or South Center Mall. But I don't want to go to South Center because I don't want to get shot. Because
Oh,
there's been
okay. We'll avoid that one then.
because there's and I say that because there's been way too many shootings at the South Center Mall.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Who's the liars? I can't pronounce your names.
Oh, the Mall of I remember. Yeah, I remember the Mall of America when it came out. Oh, you got to go to it. Wow. Right. Well, we might upgrade that day. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. Let's see.
Okay.
It looks tiny. Let me compare it to the Everett Mall. Oh wow, the Everett Mall is just one bus. Um, God, it looks almost even tinier. I can't believe these are. Yeah, Alderwood looks like the one to do. I
Or
hope it's not a ghost town and I'm gonna get all sad. And
or but well, I just got an idea. This is just an idea that I'm throwing out. We can start with the Alderwood Mall and obviously not do all the malls in one day, but like have it like a once a month thing, like Alderwood Mall, then Everett Mall, then Bell Square, and then maybe South Center, and see
oh,
how
go mall hopping.
and see how each mall. But I don't know if I want to go to South Center because there's been
Now,
too
if
many.
that's where people are getting shot, I'm okay
Yeah.
with keeping that one off
Okay.
the list. Why tempt fate?
But
Well,
I
yeah,
just
let's start with Alderwood, and we'll see how that goes. Kitty, how was Benjamin? We have to we have to get this competition thing worked out because we tend to both stream around the same time and siphon off each other's audience. Not that I think I ever had Benjamin's audience, but nor do I think he siphons mine. So I don't even know what the issue is actually, other than you. You're the only one. He steals you from me, but I stole you from him. So, I'm, If I'm going to steal you, I want to steal you right and find a way to keep you. 2.5 hours. That's it. That's all he did.
Jeff, according to his live stream, it's been 33 hours and
333.
33 minutes. Yeah.
But
So half
but it's not a fair fight. Like I could outstream Benjamin Boyce any day.
I mean, hell, if we can do it on the back porch for 24 plus hours.
Right. We used to run Brooke and I used to run a 24-hour Zoom during COVID. So
I mean,
I could
but
definitely outstream Benjamin. I'm up for it. I'll challenge him if he's he's probably not gonna want to fool with me, but I will. I'll definitely take him on. I'm not afraid of no Boyce.
Hey, I know for you, there's a huge thing, so maybe this will be definitely more of a summer thing, but maybe you can come down to the U District during the summer for the farmers market, and we can stream from the farmers market during the summer. I don't know, it's just an idea.
Yeah, we can find something to do. And then another thing I found out about is poor thing, he only has one wrench. You're his sole wrench. I have my whole team of demon trolls. And where is it? Like somewhere towards Olympia, they have this indoor water park. I forgot what it's called.
Bigfoot Lodge or something?
Yeah, Big Wolf Lodge or something. Yes,
or something.
I looked it up the other day. Someone told me about it, and I want to go so bad.
I've been wanting to go forever. It's somewhere between Olympia and Portland.
Yeah, that so that's on my list too.
That would be fun. You know what we should do? We should have the Peer Pathways Conference there.
I'm gonna talk to Beverly. What if they'd go for it? We'd have to raise money or take up a collection or something. I don't know if the state would pay for Wolf Lodge.
I mean, even if they don't,
we could have a mini conference.
Yeah, I was gonna say
if we self-fund it.
Because you know what they have? They have like rooms for families, so we can all like pitch in and share. Get a block of rooms, and then the people who are in one room all split the cost in that room.
Yeah. As long as they have the lazy river running, I'll be happy. Thank you, Kitty. I'm getting the Benjamin touch.
Hey, so obviously not now, but do you still have the same phone number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I want to talk to you about trying to create a YouTube channel for advocacy for mental health and
yeah.
And so I want to talk to more, and maybe this can be on Discord too, and talk to you more about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm trying to do with this. You could do a channel, and you could even make a Discord to go along with it.
Hey, I'm gonna go because I'm gonna go because I gotta do. I don't have to do anything, but there are some things that I think I need to do.
Okay. Take care. It's good seeing you.
Bye.
I'll see you at the mall soon.
And you guys probably don't want to hear this, but I'm burping up my breakfast sandwich from the farmer's market.
God, there's so much that went on at that market today. Speaking of demons.
And I really appreciate everybody that's on the panels, even if there's disagreements.
I know who you talk about. Yeah, I do too. Thank everybody that came up. Thank you all in the chat. I don't think there's a single one of you that I hate. Um, good
And
seeing all of you.
and if Jeff did hate you, you would know it.
They would know it.
But I also want to catch up behind the scenes sometime, just to give you the full story, about the our the employer we used to work at.
Oh, there's more of a story. There's more story. Yeah.
I got something in the mail on Tuesday.
Oh yeah. Well, definitely.
I mean, nothing that I have to do, but something that you would. I mean, I'm not in trouble or anything.
Wait, you still work there?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No. But
Well, yeah.
but
No, well, you have my curiosity up because I know how they like to try to do people.
I'm not going to mention it up here, but like it's
Okay. We
it's
can
something
talk.
that's going on against them. And I was asked to be a witness in something, so.
Interesting. Very interesting. Does the same guy still run it? Okay. Yeah, let's talk.
Okay. Anyway, I will probably reach out to you sometime today or tomorrow. And bye, wonderful people of YouTube land.
Bye. Have a good rest of your weekend. Okay, I guess that's it for me today. I'm gonna go get my weekend started. As usual, thank you all. I'm still not at. I'm trying really, really hard to be that loving person. I'm not quite at the gushing forth with love stage yet, but I do have a lot of positive. I don't know if it's emotion. I think I'm still dead and burnt out. A burnt out impasse. But I have a lot of positive regard for all of you. And to this day, I will fight anybody over this. I still say I have the best audience on YouTube. That's what keeps me doing this. So keep keep being you. Um, and with that, oh, please do. I don't think it's healthy to spend the amount of hours we all of us spend on YouTube like this. Are we helping each other, or are we enabling each other? Is what we're doing a good thing, or is it a thing that's holding us back from better things? I don't know. Well, I did tell you when I first started streaming, one of my friends told me that I was like a gay, autistic Mr. Rogers if he was a Satanist, and that she watched it because she found me very calming. Oh, Lord. Oh, well, thank you. I'll take it. A compliment. I'm not sure what kind of animal, but can't be too bad. Helping and enabling. Well, if we're going to enable each other, we can at least try, like, make sure we do it in a positive way. We can enable. How about empower? Maybe, hopefully, this is empowering. True, Jax. That's a good point. And I don't know if Bex is around. We might be watching stuff in the Discord later. So if people are looking for additional hangout time, y'all can join us there. If there's something playing when you join, just go on mute and we can chat after. But you can always use the text comments to dialogue. All right. Well, on that note, Mr. Card, I think I'm going to shut it down while I'm still respectable. I'm as respectable as it gets around here. And I'll see you, if not for some random vertical stream, I'll see you Monday at the usual time. And we'll continue our conversation about myths. See you then. Take care, everybody. Ooh, Lord, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Take care. Thank you so much for your viewership, your support, your audience-ship, and just for being you, most of all. Take care. Have a good